Well, good afternoon and welcome along to Meggetland. Boroughmuir Bears against Southern Knights. The reverse fixture was played just a couple of weeks ago with Boroughmuir Bears coming out on top. Since then, Southern Knights have a victory under their belts, both sides having played 3 matches, 2 wins for Boroughmuir Bears, 1 for the Southern Knights. The Knights' solitary win so far coming against Stirling Wolves, so they'll come into this game buoyant after their first win of the season, but mindful that Boroughmuir Bears pose a real threat, and having lost the services of some influential players to the Scotland Sevens series in the last 12 months or so, Boroughmuir have once again recruited well and have started the season promisingly. In the past couple of campaigns, they've tended to be one of the sides to take a little bit longer to warm up and get into their groove, but 2 wins from 3 is certainly pleased and delighted their coaching staff, albeit the one defeat away from home was quite a heavy one against Ayrshire Bulls. This afternoon though, they take on a Southern Knights side that is on paper certainly a youthful side, perhaps a little bit of age experience sprinkled in there, and certainly plenty of that on the bench to be called upon perhaps a little bit later on in the game. But it seems to be the direction of travel for the visiting side to Meggetland this afternoon, that the Knights are looking to youth, looking to the younger crop of players to bring them through, to develop them. And my co-commentator this afternoon, Colin, Gregor, that's something that we spoke about just before we came on air.
Indeed, the pictures today maybe not that young in the Southern Knights team, but great to see the minis at Boroughmuir Bears involved in the game today. And yeah, I think it's part of the responsibility almost of Super6 is to look at the youth and make sure there is that opportunity, part of that pathway to ideally Glasgow or Edinburgh or the professional game. But personal experience from involvement in the Sevens programme, if you just load a team all with youngsters, then they don't get the benefits of the wily old heads, the experienced campaigners, and also those that just know a little bit about setting standards and saying, okay, we're training, this isn't the level we need to be at, we need to kick on. So it's getting that balance and that blend.
The Southern Knights players, of course, have come through the ranks at Melrose, various age grades, perhaps played for the Melrose first team before becoming Southern Knights players, so they know each other well. But the point that you made that is an important one is having the experienced heads. We watched it, the last game you and I watched, I think it was the Watsonians' performance in the first 20-25 minutes was patchy, but there was a feeling that the experienced players would be able to ride the storm, get into the groove, turn the game around, which they did in fairness, and produced a phenomenal second half.
Yeah, and it was just a case of actually they're well drilled, they know each other, they know how they want to play. And if we link that to today's game, you're saying that a lot have come through the Melrose team, then they will know each other, they will know the strengths and weaknesses of each of the individuals. So it's important how you build on that, and how the first 10-15 minutes go. If you concede a couple of points, if you score a couple of points, it's not getting caught up, not getting too emotional about it, thinking we need to change anything, we need to start chasing this game, or we're cruising, let's get the champagne out, we'll throw the ball all around the place. It's just knowing that how you want to play, having the discipline to stick with that, to believe that actually if you get a good start, just to keep building that. And if you go behind, it's like, okay, let's not panic, let's just regroup, reassess, do the next job, get the basics really accurate, really tight, and build from there.
Well, let's take a look then at the respective sides this afternoon for this game at Meggetland, the second, of course, of 3 matches in the 4th round of FOSROC Super 6 competition games. There is the Boroughmuir side, and a name that jumps out straight away. Callum Smith returns to the starting 15 at loose head alongside Marcus Goodwin, who's also returning at tight head, so that really shoring up the front row for the home side. They've got plenty of experience in that back row as well, in the form of Craig Kelly as a skipper. He's been there, he's seen it, he's done it, he's been around the club game for such a long time. And also Jack Bergen at 10 tends to be the player that can really pull the strings. So far this season he's picked up 18 points for Boroughmuir, and I think the players and supporters will be looking at his skill set and Graham Shule as well, just to try and orchestrate things for the home side this afternoon. So Boroughmuir have that mix of youth and experience that served them well so far this season, but they will want to put in a performance after taking a sore one in Ayrshire the last time out.
Yeah, it was a real rough one for them last week. They were just blown away from minute one from the Ayrshire Bulls. So yeah, it's about back at home, back at Meggetland, how they can respond against this Southern Knights team.
There is the Southern Knights side. David Colvin returns at fullback. Another name as well to pick out from the backs there. Ben Pickles is impressed in training, and he's been included alongside Robbie Chalmers as the two centres, with Oliver Melville on the left hand side. Kieran Clark again, an example of somebody who'd made his way through the age grade system at Melrose, played in Waverley Cup games and Boxing Day a few years ago, and is now an established figure within this Southern Knights side. So there's plenty of pace there at the back. We've seen Sam Derrick scoring a try from his number 8 position so far this season as well. They'll be calling upon the services of Fraser Rennick and Grant Shields on the bench as well, I'm sure, because there's no doubt about it, this season we've seen plenty of changes made quite early on in games as coaches have looked to shuffle the pack to try and gain some advantage, and the likes of Rennick and Shields and Demerel as well. Demerel is impressed in the short time that he's been part of the night setup.
Yeah, and another reason for the changes is the warmth, the heat that the first few rounds of this season's Super 6 have been played in. Well, I was going to say unseasonably warm. It is August, so you'd like to hope it is, and certainly a couple of weeks ago that right in the midst of the heat wave. So again, it adds, or it makes the importance of a full 23-person squad rather than it just being your starting 15. And I think it's been identified by Southern Knights that they do have a number of injuries. They've gone with a 4-4 split on the bench because of that lack of players. So it's a test, it's a challenge when you're in this Super 6, the depth of your squad, how you use the whether it's the academy players or the pros that get released. But again, you don't have control over that necessarily, so it's building that real strong core and then supplementing that as you need or as you can.
And I suppose within the confines of the competition and the rules around player selection up and down, in terms of those that maybe get some experience at the amateur level of the game, or those that might be drafted into the professional ranks, I suppose that is still taking some time to settle down, this new sort of hybrid halfway house.
Yeah, and again, given when this is in the Glasgow and Edinburgh season, obviously that season is starting later than traditionally. It's not the beginning of September when you'd maybe expect it to. It's pushed on, and so those players are deep in pre-season. So the likes of Franco Smith coming into Glasgow Warriors, he doesn't want to lose players when he's trying to embed how he wants to play and build on that. And the same with Mike Blair, he wants to kick on in his second season as head coach in Edinburgh. And
you boys still in?
How they make sure that they get these young guys up to speed even when they're called on during the season, but not denying them opportunity to play rugby.
And something we don't see all that often is the home side coming out of the dressing room first at the very start of a game, because there's no sign at the moment of the Southern Knights. Boroughmuir are out, they've got the pads out, they're just firming up their warm-ups. They'll have had the team talk from Graham Shule, of course, knows the border side so well. Now the Southern Knights emerge from the tunnel and they're being led out there by their captain Russell Anderson, all in white this afternoon, apart from the black trims, the black numbers you see on the backs of the jerseys, and Boroughmuir in the familiar checkered pattern of the blue and the paler green that they've adopted in more recent years. The sides will be primed and ready. And much officials incidentally this afternoon. Finlay Brown will referee the contest. Alistair Watt and Johnny Perriam, his two assistants today. So they've been out for a couple of minutes on the park. It's looking a little more lush, the park, compared to a few weeks ago when it was a bit brown in patches because of the heat we were talking about. Yeah,
Myerside was a bit barer compared to Meggetland just along the road. But interesting, Boroughmuir Bears coming out. I didn't, like, I'd covered their game last week, didn't see their warm-up, whether that's an addition that they come out and hit the bags and just get up to speed, because it was basically the second minute that Ayrshire Bulls scored their first try, so maybe they want to make sure that actually they don't have that sort of start again. They're primed and ready as we get underway.
Yeah, it was a good take there from the Bergen kick-off.
Ripped.
An opportunity immediately. Sam Derrick at number 8 for the Southern Knights.
Ripped by
down that
Boroughmuir.
right hand side. Douglas Crawford, who's started a couple of matches on the bench, but he's in the starting 15 this afternoon. Number of injuries, of course, have changed the complexion of the Southern Knights starting 15 in recent times. That box gets plumb on halfway. Boroughmuir rush in. A chance now for Rory Swan. Early touch for the Boroughmuir scrum half. That's dislodged. It's been picked up.
Advantage, number 3, high tackle.
Looking to try and work something there. Robbie Chalmers was up very quickly
Number
on that
3,
10-metre line.
I agree, but you're still high.
Marcus Goodman is the player penalised. We mentioned Goodman and Callum Smith in the intro, playing alongside Corey Tate in the Boroughmuir front row this afternoon. And here's an early touch finder for Cammy Scott in the Southern Knights side.
Yeah, we just see the replay there, the high tackle, no malice in it, just again technically maybe not quite as sharp as you want, and I think we did hear the referee Finlay Brown saying there was no malice in it, but it's still a high tackle, and it's the ideal start for the Southern Knights. They've gathered the restart, as you said, or the kickoff did well.
Stay there.
A little error from Boroughmuir coughing up possession, high tackle, and suddenly they're back defending their own line.
Anderson, the skipper, with the throw, works it then towards Sam Derrick, the number 8. A good secure win in the air. And now Anderson joins in the drive. He's got possession of the ball just now. Crawford comes up, wasn't quite sure, made certain though with the instructions. 12 is Robbie Chalmers, the vice-captain, takes the ball on inside that 22. Nudged backwards there, he's able to plant the ball back for Crawford. Picked up this time by Wallace Nelson in that back row alongside Derrick and Miller. Through the hands it comes towards the fullback, David Colvin. 12 points for Colvin this season so far for Southern Knights. He's been the most reliable Knights player with the boot this season so far. They're trying to make some ground, led there by Jamie Campbell inside the 22. Crawford again, on through the hands very quickly of Anderson. Forwards looking to join in the drive as Crawford picks up once more. Through the fly half stands there, Scott. Crawford again. On this right hand side, timed and ready was Ferry with a little top pass out to that right hand side, and will come back infield. Crawford once more. Miller taking the ball, grounded there. Crawford's able to pick up Scott again. Just almost picked up around the ankles there, but he did well, Robbie Chalmers. They've been forced backwards though, and they're building from a slightly deeper position with Nelson now. Bypassing Chalmers this time, it was Scott picked up. Referee had spotted an infringement. Oliver Melville was racing towards the line. Well, I heard the referee's whistle. We'll hear it once more. Melville looks to the heavens briefly and come back for the infringement just outside that 22. But the Knights are certainly looking a bit more composed and comfortable on the ball in this first few minutes.
Let's go.
Yeah, excellent work getting through the phases, matched by a really solid Boroughmuir Bears defence, and then we just see it's good vision from Cammy Scott at fly half to get the ball out to Melville on this left wing, but on that occasion the pass goes forward, which is a real shame because it's a cracking finish from Melville as well. Looked really sharp, so we hope that he gets a bit more ball just to set this game alight.
Yeah, I could see that Crawford is down receiving a bit of treatment, but that pass certainly from Cammy Scott, bypassing I think it was at least two Southern Knights players. Lovely sidestep from the winger Melville, and as soon as he got clear of his marker, he felt there was only going to be one outcome, but the pass was just a fraction forward, so no opportunity for them.
Thank you.
David Colvin gets back to his feet, full-back, and no opportunity for the Southern Knights on this occasion to open the scoring. No score at the moment, but a bright start from the visitors.
6 shoulders in the
Equally,
cell.
I think Boroughmuir Bears will be pretty confident or optimistic about how they defended that, and in the end the Cammy Scott miss pass, it's almost forced into that because of the aggression with which the Boroughmuir Bears have approached their defence. Tackle completion really high, just leaving the breakdown, excellent discipline, so they give Southern Knights nothing easy. And in the end it's that kind of higher risk play Southern Knights try to go for just to break the Bears defence, and on this occasion it's adjudged forward. Bears defence wins out.
Swan has it once more, the scrum half. Plays it forward. Gathered by Colvin. And brings one down.
Stay.
able to gather it from outside of the 22. Both sides playing up a little bit of football through the hands then. Cammy Scott, a free kick. And again, that's a handy option for Southern Knights to have with Colin secure from the hand with the right foot. Cammy Scott tending always to go towards that left-hand side. We've seen it if a centre or a half-back can play from the left and your full-back can play from the right. It's just those little dynamics can be quite useful in games.
Yeah, and it keeps the defence a little bit more honest, doesn't it? Because they don't know which side you're going to go, which kicking option you're going to use. In terms of the clearing kick there from Cammy Scott, it's an absolute cracker. It struck that really well.
Rugby takes through it. Boroughmuir win it. Immediately down to the scrum half. Swan recycles quickly. Swan in once again, just on halfway. It's for Bergen. Out towards Callum Ram on that right hand side, supporting his left winger there, Joe Jenkins, who goes into the tackle. Locked up once more by Swan. Powerful running here by the Boroughmuir side. They're looking to get hands on the ball. A little sustained spell of possession would do them no harm at all. Ronan Kerr tries to break the initial Southern Knights defensive line. Back it will come again. Determination shown there by Swan. Very quickly through the hands of the back row forwards. A little loose in the pass there, picked up this time by Ian Carmichael. Puts the ball into the tackle, is shepherded there by Craig Kenny, the skipper. Scrum half Swan is able to mop things up once more. Very quickly through the hands of Bergen. Boroughmuir again looking to line up and perhaps a pincer movement just beyond that 10-metre line. There's the grubber kick. It's gathered practically on the touchline by David Colvin. Stays in touch in the Boroughmuir half. Ball in possession now of Corey Tate. Sidesteps his way around Derek. Runs into trouble in the form of Alan Ferry. Halfway though, half-backs link up well once more. Boroughmuir looking to try and get some space down this right-hand side. In between the channels at the moment. Crash ball played there by Josh King. Inside flanker for Boroughmuir Bears this afternoon. In that front row, Smith, Tate and Goodwin will all look for good carries in the early stages of the game, particularly in the Southern Knights half of the field, to try and pierce their defence. Easy run again, just tries to ensure Boroughmuir gets ground. Floating pass, this time from Jack Bergen, just a little bit loose and close towards the touchline. Boroughmuir have enjoyed 2 or 3 minutes now, Colin, of possession of the ball. At least the players have had a good handle of the ball and have been able to nullify.
I get where your frustration's coming from.
The challenge posed by
I'll move him when he's affecting the ball.
Yeah, very similar passage of attack there, and in the end it's the Boroughmuir Bears fly half Jack Bergen who thinks Southern Knights defence is giving us nothing. I need to play a higher risk play, and he tries that wide floated pass, but whereas before we saw Cammy Scott forward pass, his opposite man just passed it straight into touch, but good disruption from the Bears at the line out.
Through the hands again of the centres there, Kell and Lanny.
You guard, I'm sealed. I've got 9.
Beyond the 10-metre line, they're able to reach. Swan goes in once more, recycled, back closer towards halfway. Anderson, the Southern Knights captain, gets back to his feet. Again, Boroughmuir looking to try and build from a deeper line position here. A really fantastic run, mazy run with a little offload once more to Joe Jenkins there. That was excellent work there from Tom Brown. Ronan Kerr and Tom Brown doing ever so well to create the opening. And back it comes very quickly through the hands of the fly half Bergen.
Advantage.
Corey Tate goes in. Advantage coming the way of Boroughmuir. Being certainly lifted by that. Here is Ronan Kerr once more. Puts the ball into the tackle situation. Back to Swan. Southern Knights again, just backpedaling as the Boroughmuir side have it once more again through Swan. Bergen is ready to take the ball in. Fine running by Ronan Kerr a little bit earlier on. Bergen has it now as a little look at the options. The right winger then on towards the inside centre. Lanny, nice touch there from Ram coming off his wing. Swan once again, second row forward. Jack Fisher powers his way just over the line. Fisher it is who scores the try. 9 minutes of the first half gone. A well worked move. The break initially.
Yeah, you have a word now as well, please.
Tom Brown, Ronan Kerr linking up. And it was an excellent mazy run, just breaking the initial line of Southern Knights defence. Several phases later, and it's the second row forward, Jack Fisher, who positions himself to take the pass from his fly half And over he goes. David Colin could not stop him, and that's a try for the second row forward to open the scoring this afternoon at Meggetland. Nearly 10 minutes gone, 5-0
Just
to the home side.
Yeah,
very well worked try. Just fantastic break from Tom Brown. Then had the skills to get the offload away. And then it's just the composure from Boroughmuir Bears. You heard that they did have an advantage. They could have gone one of those kind of higher risk plays we're talking about, because they could come back for the security of the penalty, but they just continued to go through the phases. They were just making yards each time, and in the end it's just too much for the Southern Knights defence to deal with, and it's Fisher that takes the last carry. It's an excellent try from Boroughmuir Bears.
Bears then looking for the extras. Bergen's strike is clean and true. That takes him on to 20 points for the season. Jack Bergen, a converted try inside the opening 10 minutes, so a fine way for the Boroughmuir Bears to start the game. Southern Knights will be disappointed. They've certainly had spells in the opening 10 minutes where they've tested the resolve of the Boroughmuir defence, particularly in and around that Boroughmuir 22. Deeper restart kick. Cleared downfield, just down. Knights have 3 players now back inside their own half. This is their fly half there, Scott. On then towards the left wing of Melvin. See what he can do when he's given an opportunity, but forward pass denied him the opening score of the game a little earlier on in the half. Penalty awarded then to the Southern Knights. The referee, a second Boroughmuir high challenge and a yellow card shown. So Boroughmuir, having taken the lead,
number 1.
9.5 minutes into the first half, have lost the services. Well, it looks as if it's Callum Smith who's going to spend the next 10 minutes in the bin.
Finlay Brown, no hesitation there to issue the yellow card. Blew the whistle straight away, and there was no argument from Callum Smith, the Boroughmuir prop. So yeah, a chance for Southern Knights to strike back. Obviously when you're just conceded a score, it's a great opportunity if your opponents go down to 14 men, get a line out on their 22. So let's see what this Southern Knights team can do.
Anderson's throw, short to run but secure once again in the line.
Thank you.
Now splinters away, looks at the options towards his right-hand side. Solid challenge comes in. Yeah, that was
not for me, Craig.
Decent tackle, one hooker on the other. Corey Tate with the tackle. Southern Knights still have it though. Back now with Crawford. Inside centres, Chalmers. Again was tried to show what he can do in that inside centre position with the splinter runs. Rubber kick played through this time by Scott. 1-on-1 option there. Melville chased back all the way by Callum Ram. Little grubber kick was used on this occasion by the fly half.
Option, fellas. Craig, you do have an option.
Going to get a look at this 22. Yellow card. So there is Melville again
the scum's going to be.
It's a big tackle there from Tate, the Boroughmuir hooker, but then his front row counterpart there, we just see shoulder. Looks like it does connect with the head of Wallace Nelson. Wonder if a yellow card's quite generous or fortunate on that occasion that you have seen that kind of shoulder contact to the head. Could have been more severe, but referee was very adamant, yellow card. We didn't hear any complaints from either side, so on that basis we'll say it's a good decision.
It was a pretty solid right shoulder for sure, and Callum Smith, as soon as the arm was raised, he was looking somewhat anxiously in the direction of Finlay Brown. I think he himself might have been concerned about the colour of the card coming from the left pocket of the referee. Boroughmuir then protecting the lead but down a man.
Backwards!
Eventually picked up there by Southern Knights. Melville couldn't quite grasp the ball in the first attempt. Crawford with the scrum half has it, and it's recycled this time by Scott, taking up the role of Crawford with the scrum half in the tackle. Nelson with the carry, Crawford has it again. Once more just on that halfway line. Chalmers out towards the right hand channel. Kieran Clark trying to cut his way infield on that left foot, as he knew that the room was just running out down that right hand side there. In the picture with that distinct mop of hair. And Southern Knights, well, they'll know this is an important 10 minutes in the contest, with Boroughmuir having scored down a man as well. This is when you've come into a match having won your first game of the
Gotta get
season,
going, lads.
presented with an opportunity to hit back, having gone behind. You don't want to cough up these chances.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Just need composure from the Southern Knights. Getting tackled into touch as a coach, it's awfully frustrating. You just think it's easy possession to give away.
How many
You
putting
can
in?
see Boroughmuir Bears
Okay,
just
five.
taking
Call five.
any pace out of the game, just
on.
managing the fact that they're down to 14 men. Just adding the frustration to Southern Knights, who want to keep the tempo when they've got that extra man. Smart line out from Boroughmuir Bears, just get the maul going, and I'm sure they'll look at territory from this.
It's box kick as well, which clears halfway, and we're just about through the 10-metre line. Collected in the air by David Colvin, the Knights fullback, mocked up again by Crawford. Knights again looking to build through Wallace Nelson, who's certainly worked hard in the opening stages of this contest. A sclaffed effort this time from Scott, crossfield, played in the air by Melville, does well to keep the ball in play, gets it back once again, supported by Pickles, the youngster who, as we mentioned in the build-up to the game, has attracted a lot of attention with good performances in training. Crawford again, flat pass this time from Scott. As Knights try and burst through Boroughmuir Bears, just on halfway. Scott this time lofts one left-footed forward, that bounces a couple of times. It's going to find touch. It just goes over that dead ball line, shepherded back there by Boroughmuir players. Goal line dropout will see the game resume, but again Scott, it was all about the bounce of the ball there. He had good angles initially, and we thought if this does end up in touch, it will be an interesting outcome.
Got to be better than that, mate. That wasn't acceptable.
I
appreciate that. It's got to be
quick. 22, but the goal line dropout, and the Knights will look to gather from around halfway and go again. Yeah,
really good kick there, but great work from Melville from the earlier up and under from Southern Knights. Getting it up in the air, keeping the ball in play, getting back in field, just allowed Knights to maintain that pressure, build the territory. We've got an excellent attacking position.
Tackle!
Kenny with the tackle. Stays on his feet.
Yeah, I'll move.
Crawford then again, having a look towards that left-hand side. Gives his captain into play. Russell Anderson gained huge experience in his days with Melrose, now with the Knights. David Colvin coming on to zip past there, the fullback. It's the edge of the Boroughmuir 22. Offload this time at this around knee height there. Jimmy Campbell's pass. Boroughmuir will have the advantage.
Advantage over!
From the 22. Short period of advantage, Melville underneath that high ball. Now he's got a bit of space to run into. Melville tackled though by the inside centre, Tom Lanny. Cycled again by Crawford. Scott has it, taken well at head height there. Knights once more looking to gain some ground, make some distance. Crawford in once again. 7 points to 0 the score. Coming from Jack Fisher, 9 minutes into the first half. Can Southern Knights cancel out that score with a reply score with Boroughmuir down a man? Excellent Boroughmuir defence there. You could see Sam Derrick was reaching in to try and retrieve possession of the ball there, but Southern Knights were just almost suffocated by a well-organised Boroughmuir defence, and an important stage in the game because Southern Knights were beginning to gain a bit more confidence.
Yeah, we'll go water break now. This player's down.
Yeah, it's a great break from Southern Knights, keeping the ball alive with a couple of offloads on that occasion. It's a real shame that on that last pass, Douglas Crawford, the scrum half, he's picked up the support line on the inside.
Can I get some water,
but he's not seen, and it's a good tackle from Boroughmuir Bears, and rather than getting the offload and keeping that attack going, Crawford maybe even scoring, Boroughmuir get the men to that breakdown, and Ian Carmichael, the open side, as you'd hope and expect, your open side just gets over a ball,
on the table,
and he's up against poor Douglas Crawford, the scrum half, who's running that support line, tries to readjust to clear out, but can't shift the big hulk of the Bears open side, and it's an important turnover.
Okay, do you want any?
Keddy back to his feet, the Boroughmuir skipper.
High tackle.
And the Knights just enjoying the drinks break, a chance for both sets of players just to reflect on the opening stages of the contest. Almost a quarter of the game played already, and converted try separating the sides, but Southern Knights will be, I'd imagine they'll be relatively satisfied with the amount of ball they have. They'll be disappointed they've not been able to do this that
I couldn't tell you at the moment, but I don't think it's too long. It's probably about 2 minutes. Things are pretty good.
It's
Just
an
one wee
interesting
thing
one, I
from me that the boys have just found. See with
see
space
what
and
the
pillars. I
referee's
know the
saying.
game's quite quick. Just make sure we're at that last foot before we go. Like kind of
You're not
pillar
giving
and
enough
guard.
space.
They're the same. We've had the same message. So it's both. But just give us that wee half yard.
Try and be quick. Just
So there we go. Just I think it's just at that offside line at the back of the ruck. Both
Holding.
teams just being encouraged
Let's
just
go.
to
Time's
get
up.
back, get onside, and referee saying it is a quick game, and he's right. The both teams have that intent to play, to keep the tempo high in their attack. And Stuart, I think both coaches will be quite happy that Boroughmuir Bears, the way that they attacked in those sort of 3 or 4 minutes that they had ball,
On the line, please,
looked
Knights.
very dangerous, scored an excellent try. The rest of the time their defence has been pretty solid. But from a Southern Knights point of view, the way they've gone through phases, they've varied their attack, they've kept a hold of ball. Again, they'll be quite comfortable, quite happy with how the opening 18 minutes have gone. Just look to build on that, try and break through a Boroughmuir Bears tackle at some point, and just make sure that when Bears do have possession, just make it difficult for them to get yardage.
Kerry again now an excellent break once more by Tom Brown. We've seen him once already in this first half weave his magic up towards that 10-metre line. Kerry has it again, quick offload there from the Boroughmuir skipper. Looking out towards the try scorer Jack Fisher.
Number 12's never
Knights are
back
able to
onside.
Mop up.
Need to come back onside before you play the ball though.
Offside though.
Never
So
onside.
Boroughmuir
Number 12.
coughing up the penalty close towards their own 10-metre line, and the 14 men of Boroughmuir, with Southern Knights conceding the penalty with 19 minutes on the clock, have a lead and have an opportunity to
sorry.
get the ball down.
I went with the ball.
towards the
Okay,
Knights
sorry I've
22.
missed it. Yeah,
And
okay, I'll
again,
have a
just
look.
taking a
Sorry,
little
boys.
bit of pace out the game, taking a few seconds off the clock. And it's an excellent kick into the corner from Jack Bergen, the fly half. So, yeah, Boroughmuir
Bob.
Bears with their 14 men, still with Callum Smith
Thank
in
you.
the sin bin. They'll be delighted to be in this attacking position. We saw Ayrshire Bulls last
Lads,
week
make sure you
were
come
really
straight back
aggressive,
down.
really
Don't go across
dominant
the line,
against
okay?
the Bears at line-out maul time. So let's see if they've been working on it during the week, if they want to try and assert their dominance in this situation, even without their loose head prop.
Throw in from the hooker. Corey Tate, again an accurate arrowed throw in, picked up once more by the skipper. Good offload there from Kerry as the runners take play closer towards that 5-metre line. Swan goes in once more, quickly through the hands. Boroughmuir though, a little bit loose for the pass, but picked up on this left-hand side. Tackle comes in there from Chalmers. Just throwing up the
Last
Boroughmuir
foot, last
attack.
foot, stay there.
Still possession of the ball though, once more, taken on this time by Carmichael. Goes to the ground, tackled well by Jamie Campbell. The edges of the 22, Kerry again, on towards Ram, coming off his wing, trying to get a little bit of acceleration in that 22. Swan tries to work it round the
Tackle!
corner, then with the offload. Swan over the ball at the moment, the Boroughmuir scrum half. And then at Meggetland, crowd watching on, home supporters will be pleased that no damage has been done so far with the team down a man, losing the services of their front row forward, Callum Smith, to a yellow card. Picked up there and snatched
No, it's fine.
by
Boys, he's injured.
Russell Anderson.
Time's off.
Yeah, it's a sore one. Tom Lanny, I think the way he
Whiter in
went
possession
down,
for me, Johnny.
you could just see that he just threw the ball away. It
It's just a
looked
tackle and
it
he's
was
let
in
go of the
real-
ball. There's
real
no offside line there
discomfort.
for me. It's just no. It's just going to be a scrum white. He's just dropped the ball in pain. After the tackle, he's played the ball and then his knee. Yeah, and then White's picked up and he's last in
He
possession.
didn't get that though.
No, White or last.
So doesn't he get that?
Craig, no.
He didn't know.
White or last in possession for me there, Tom. And then he's come down shouting, so for me it's going to be white ball. They've turned the ball over there, okay?
Yeah, so you see
Yeah,
Lanny
we've
going
stopped playing
down, it
because
looks
we've
really
got
Cheers, cheers.
uncomfortable.
I've not
Tom.
told to get the ball because we've got
What
a guy
you're
ended
saying
up
is
with
that they
a
should be in
biscuit.
possession, or there was
You
a
know,
ruck,
we are
so
carrying forward.
Southern
Okay.
Knights
You see what I
are
mean? Like,
offside,
I've
but
stopped.
Okay.
The ball's
the referee,
right there,
Finlay
I've
Brown, said
gone.
no,
So
there was
for
no
me,
breakdown.
Tom, the tackle's
Here we
happened
go.
here.
Okay.
And the ball's come out, there's nothing formed.
Okay.
And we've played on.
Yeah.
And then they've picked up the ball and then I've realised the player's injured. I appreciate where you're coming from, but for me they're in possession. Okay.
There we go, Tom Brown trying to argue the case for Boroughmuir Bears.
time,
Finlay
lads.
Brown, like
Yeah, if you wanna
most,
get
if
water
not
on, you
all
can.
referees, are not going to change their decision after a discussion with a player.
Yeah, of
We
course.
just hope that in the meantime that Tom Lanny is okay. I think
Okay.
Every time, do you know?
he was
There's
the
three eyes
man
looking
that
at
went
it.
down,
We
although we
appreciate
see that it's
space.
the
It's pretty
the
tight, but we are
Southern
looking,
Knights
okay? We think they're on side
player getting a bit of treatment
at
as
the
well. I
moment.
think
But
Lanny's in
I
behind
get
that
what you
as
mean by
well.
they're tight.
Well, they must still be pretty fit because every time our player catches it,
Okay,
they're fucking banging him.
okay.
Aye.
I've just got one thing for you, just while you're here. Everybody's been playing all right, pretty calm. The only person that's been shouting at me on live play is you. I get your frustration at the same time. I'd much rather you come at a time like this and we can have a conversation like this. I'm not going to be able to do much if you're shouting at me the whole time.
Yeah,
you get
I
what
got
I'm
a bit
coming
irate
from?
when the boys.
Okay, and I get that. I get the pressure there.
It's not necessarily shout at you, it's shout
I
at
know,
the
I know,
situation.
I know. I get that as well, Craig.
CK, hit the ball out of the way.
CK, is there anything though? Happy?
Mal, join us?
Yeah,
We'll have a
of course you
coffee.
can, Russell.
I'll get tea biscuit too.
There we go.
good.
Southern Knights added their humour to it.
Yeah, good.
Anything for me?
Tea biscuits out afternoon tea at Meggetland now. A broad smile on the face of Craig Keddy as he heads back and has a word there with
They're not saying a lot.
Goodwin.
Don't worry about it. Okay.
Also good to
Cool.
see that Ewan Harrison is
Was he
back
hot?
on his feet. He was the Southern Knights player that was
Fair enough.
a little bit closer to us with Tom Lanny just behind, but he's obviously sustained a sore one to that right shoulder. You can see he's still working the shoulder just now as Tom Lanny is still down on the pitch. And so too there, Robbie Chalmers, the Knights vice-captain,
When was the last
taking
one
this
before?
opportunity to get a little
Well,
bit
the one
of
about 20 minutes ago.
strap into
Yeah.
that
Oh, okay.
right boot.
So I was thinking we had another one. No. Cheers for that, mate. I'll come have a look. It was just
Discomfort, so I'm sure he'll look to try and run it off over the next 2 or 3 minutes.
Of course, that's the last thing that Bruce Ruthven
Anything
needs
else?
just at the moment, you know, with less than 20-25 minutes of the game gone, potentially 2 players that picked up rather nasty injuries, but playing on with them in the first half. We don't know obviously the severity of them.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see the more serious of the injuries there for Boroughmuir Bears. Yeah, you don't want to see any injuries in any sport, and especially a serious one like this. So you could tell as soon as he was in the tackle and he just threw the ball away that he's obviously in real discomfort. And we just hope, I think he was getting some oxygen there to try and help with pain. So just got to take time, make sure that he's suitably cared for.
I knew it as well. I was like, this doesn't look right.
Boroughmuir Bears just trying to keep a little bit of warmth. Don't get too stiff.
Looks as if he's come on as well, the number 23 for Boroughmuir, so that would be the switch.
Yep, and I think because Callum Smith's still in the sin bin, they'll have to make a change with the loose head prop, won't they? So I think
about
Brandon,
20. But the problem is that I kept my watch running as well, so I couldn't
trotting
tell
around
you.
as well. So they've maybe taken off a back rower or a winger, depending on what their thoughts are.
They've brought on replacement and taken off the back row.
Okay, perfect.
So there we go. So it's a back row replaced.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yep. So it was,
They were
again,
just
it was
asking
a decent
about
attack from Boroughmuir Bears.
line
And they were
out.
getting through the
Knights
phases
and the boy across.
on the front
I think
foot.
maybe the one over there.
Just comes to an abrupt end on this occasion with 14 men. The last 3 or 4 minutes they've really taken it to the Southern Knights. Just got a bit of ascendancy. One thing that noticeable
I'm maybe
in the
just
first
triggering a bit too quick.
20 minutes or so of this
So
game
even
is
if you,
that
like, I'm
Boroughmuir
maybe
Bears,
going
I'm
a bit
not
too
sure
quick.
they've missed a tackle at
So
all.
even if we just keep
They've
an eye
been
on it,
really,
just
really
leave
strong
that.
defensively.
Yeah, no,
Southern Knights, they've just
what are you
fallen
talking
off
about?
one
I'm
or
not
two.
gonna
We
chase
saw
it.
Tom Brown get
I don't
through
think
in the lead
anybody's
up to
given
the
that in about
score.
4 years, and I'm not going to be the first man to do it.
It's just these fine margins
No.
that Boroughmuir Bears recognising once they get through a tackle, they're on the front foot. And for Southern Knights as a defence, it becomes really difficult to get any dominance back. You just become passive. You can't reset, you can't slow down ball, you can't get your line
Thank you.
speed.
Cheers.
And then it's just what Boroughmuir Bears are doing really well is exploiting that and just keeping the tempo to their attack.
Yeah, the only time really in the 20-21 minutes we played the game where the Southern Knights were really in behind Boroughmuir was that Cammy Scott forward pass. Melville was just in and around, nice sidestep, and he was in down that left hand side before he could touch the ball down. The referee Finlay Brown has whistled a few times to say no.
Yeah, and the rest of it where Southern Knights they've played a bit more conservative, a bit safer rugby, the kind of 1-2 pass, just pick and goes. And for Boroughmuir Bears, they're saying, well, you're just asking questions of us defensively, asking questions of our mindset, our will to make these tackles, and Boroughmuir Bears are coming up with the answers so far. So for me, Southern Knights, when they're in and around the Bears 22, and there's nothing for them, the ball just be a bit more creative and then attack, just ask a few different questions. We saw them almost get through when they got an offload away, and then it was great work from Carmichael, the Boroughmuir back rower, to get the penalty. But if they can get the arms free, get an offload away, get a little bit of footwork going just to try
the yellow card.
and make it harder for Boroughmuir to get the tackles in, because just now, once they do that, they slow the Southern Knights ball down, and they just get that defensive sort of dominance, and Knights don't have any answers.
Yes,
querying the 40 seconds there. Was it 40 seconds to half time? And Finlay
no, you
Brown
have
said
to be
there were
behind
40
them.
seconds
That's a
left
really
in the
good
yellow
question.
card,
I don't think for me, you have to be behind
Fancying his
them.
oranges already,
Yes.
was it Tom Brown?
For me, you do, because it's like, for example, say
using this opportunity to have
the other way. I'd put it
almost
to
at
you.
one time, because
Say that they kick into and go, and you don't put the ball down, and you kick it.
Couple of
if you have to bring everybody else back on side, so you have to start behind.
Try and keep warm, go through the usual routine that you do when you're there is a player down for a lengthy period of time receiving some treatment, and all due care and attention will be given to Tom Lanny as he'll make his way from the field of play.
You can jump from the outside.
You can jump from the outside, but you've got to land in.
I think Finlay Brown's gone through every single decision that he's made
I tell you
so
what,
far.
when you're an assistant referee, it's the most confusing game.
Before
Before it used to be
game,
you as a player, and now it's the ball. So you straddle the touchline.
Line out jumping
if the ball
as
is
well as the
this side of the line,
who's getting
the ball is out.
This
if you catch it straddled and the ball is this side, you're deemed to have taken the ball out.
Who's how you take the ball in or out of the field of play and catch it.
Just leave the ball.
So a real referee seminar going on, or the players are getting brought up to speed with the latest changes to any laws.
I might go and clarify that when you talk. You are right, but if not, I'll get back to you by half time. Tell me that.
But there's obviously an upsetting time for Tom Lanny, and Tom Lanny, the Boroughmuir players will be very mindful of that. But he's come in to start alongside Ronan Kerr this afternoon with Joe Jenkins, Callum Ram, and Tom Brown, part of the backs. And you can see there Josh King in conversation with Graham Shield. And Graham will be mindful that that this could be a long-term injury for Tom. We don't know obviously the severity of it. We hope it is nothing too serious, but it changes the complexion of the game from his point of view as well.
And also the Super 6, it's a relatively short season, so if you think it will be pretty much done and dusted by the end of October, then you pick up an injury for 4, 5, 6 weeks, then that's a large part of the season that you'll be missing. So
the ball lands in field and you land.
A real shame for Tom Lanny. But how do Boroughmuir Bears recover from this psychologically to make sure that actually, they're concerned for their teammate, but they've got a job to do for the rest of the game this afternoon.
We were talking about the points accrued. Jack Bergen's conversion taking him on to 20 points for the season. David Colvin with 12 for the Southern Knights. The Boroughmuir Bears tries have been pretty well spread out across the team, with no one individual coming away from the opening 3 games with a clutch of tries. 8 tries to 7. Well, that's now 9 tries for Boroughmuir. You hear the applause there from those in the stands. You can see at least he's on his feet, and he's been helped by 2 members of backroom staff for the Boroughmuir Bears, and very gingerly leaving the field of play there, Tom Lanny, to some warm applause, and we certainly wish him well and a speedy recovery from what did look like a nasty injury.
Just keep your feet underneath you,
it's always good that he's walking off rather than stretchered. I'm sure he'll be keen to show that, but he's very gingerly getting away from the action. You just hope that Southern Knights clearing kick doesn't land too close to him on this occasion.
Crouch.
In my mind as well, that would just add insult to injury if he was to be just underneath a clearance. But we'll see what happens here from Douglas Crawford and the Knights as the game resumes. 21 minutes of the game played. Boroughmuir have certainly done well at that scrummage. Remember, still minus the services of Callum Smith with a rejigged scrum, but Smith should be back on the field of play in the matter of 20 seconds or so.
Bring him back on, please.
Try scorer, of course, Jack Fisher. His score coming in 9 minutes, but the game somewhat delayed as a consequence of that Tom Lanny injury and the lengthy treatment that followed. And there is the aforementioned Callum Smith back on the field of play. That means that I think Ian Carmichael was the player that just ahead of that last
Keep your foot up, okay, Russell?
was replaced as well. So he's now back on. So back to a full complement of players, and got an attacking platform here, Boroughmuir. Brandon Sweet is off and Carmichael is on.
Yeah, just difficult for Sam Derrick, the Southern Knights number 8 there, that you've had probably best part of 10 minutes of no action, and then you've got to pick up from the base. You're a bit cold and just lack that concentration. Gives Boroughmuir Bears a great attacking position where they've asserted some scrum dominance. So yeah, just a shame for Southern Knights. They think, oh, it's a chance to clear our lines, little error, and then they're Boroughmuir back up to 15 men. The return of Callum Smith, and he's making his presence felt.
You've just all gone round in the corner. You've got to stay square.
Home side
So you're talking to me?
Little battle at the moment. Confirmation that Scott Robinson is the straight replacement for the injured Tom Lanny. Kyle McGee is also on for Robbie Chalmers. We did see Chalmers receiving a bit of treatment to his right foot. Certainly the right boot seemed to have a bit of tape on it as well, and he was trying to put some weight on that right foot around the time that Lanny was receiving some treatment. So another change made there.
Stand up.
And that a consequence. Well, again, is Robbie Chalmers now going to be the latest player on Bruce Rutherford's injury table.
As you said, Stuart, it's not what not what any coach wants, but not when you've got quite the list of unavailable players that the Southern Knights do. But it's the opportunity for someone else. It's the opportunity for the rest of the squad just to show the character that they've got. That yes, they can deal with these setbacks, and they'll still give as good an account of themselves as they possibly can.
Fourth playing fifth in the FOSROC Super 6 table, second match of the weekend. Bears leading by 7 points to 0, and they've got this attacking scrum. They pick up, they work it into a central position inside the 22. Southern Knights looking to try and strip as Boroughmuir again, trying to spin round and form a pincer movement as Scott Robinson up with the action. So too Swan, the scrum half, looking to get some quick recycle ball. Kerry's over the ball at the moment. Hooker in position as well.
Keep moving, keep moving.
Tate. Forwards are looking to play a little bit of clash ball just now, trying to pull their way towards the line. Jamie Campbell is strayed offside, so advantage coming the way of Boroughmuir, and they're driving towards the line. Is that the captain trying to play a back seven? Now joining the drive. He's not the bottom man in possession of the ball just now. Ball goes a little bit loose, but remember, Boroughmuir playing an advantage. Ronan Kerr doing well to retain possession. On towards Callum Ram, and Ram is over for the score. And you felt it was almost inevitable that Boroughmuir would come away with something from a lengthy visit into the Southern Knights 22. And they've added a second try of the afternoon, and this time Callum Ram weaving his way in and out of white jerseys across the line for a score to increase the advantage. Boroughmuir Bears lead by 12 points to 0.
Yeah, and so often the way that once the loose pass, it fragments that defensive line, and where Southern Knights would have thought they've defended really well, when the ball does go loose, it just, some of the Southern Knights chase after it, others are a little bit slower to react to it, so their defensive line's fragmented. It's just a good fend, a good handoff from Callum Ram on Sam Derrick, and the rest of the Southern Knights defence is not in position. He's got great pace, as you'd hope, as you'd expect from the winger. So a good finish in the end.
Looking to add the extras.
Got about 30 seconds, okay?
12 points to 0. And Jack Bergen, again mindful the referee will have an eye on the watch. So look to try and deliver the 2 points from close to that 15 channel. Another clean, crisp strike, another 2 points on the board, and Boroughmuir Bears heading towards the half-hour mark in a pretty strong position, leading by 14 points to 0. Went after scoring the second try there, the first coming in 9 minutes, courtesy of Jack Fisher from close range, and that really was literally the only difference between the sides. That little bit more clinical edge shown by Boroughmuir. Knights have been hovering with intent in and around the Boroughmuir 22 on a few occasions, but have not been able to pierce the home side's defence at the moment. Chris Rutherford will be looking for his side to be that little bit more clinical. as they approach the half-hour mark. Graham Shield will be mindful that 14 points to nil is by no means an unassailable lead, but it's a healthy one to have at this stage in the game, particularly when you've had 10 minutes of the 27 with just 14 men on the park.
Yeah, I think that's it. You touch on, Stuart, just how clinical Bears have been when they're in and around the Knights 22. Also just psychologically, how they managed that 10 minutes. They got on the front foot, and then as soon as they're back to 15 men, they get scrum dominance, they get a penalty, and then they get a score off the back of it. So yeah, it's just really buoys the Boroughmuir team, especially after losing a teammate, a colleague, a friend, probably to a serious injury. Good response. Southern Knights will want to strike back before the half's over.
Yeah.
Rolling away, no release from the Boroughmuir Bears. A chance Southern Knights with this penalty inside their own half. Scott will take it left-footed. Look to gain some distance and ground inside Boroughmuir Bears territory, but it's not a touch finder, it's gobbled up there, and Boroughmuir are able to clear it right through the downfield.
What a catch!
And the referee rather impressed by the quality of the catch from the spectator just behind the advertising hoardings there, as the play is once more back in the Knights half of the field.
Yeah, just frustrating, isn't it, for the Knights forwards in particular, where they think, we're going to have a chance to rumble forward in and around the Boroughmuir 22, but the kick misses touch, and it's a good clearance from Tom Brown back to the halfway, and then another error from Knights, just compounding one with another.
That was over the outstretched arms there, the telescopic arms of Sam Derrick, and a good carry once more from Jack Fisher, one of the try scorers in Boroughmuir colours this afternoon. They've got 2 converted tries to their name so far. Swan looking to get on with it as he is able to pick up and find men to his left hand side. The scrum half will go in once more. Little glance towards the right hand side this time, and he brings Bergen into play. There's the grubber kick. The chase is on. Robinson had quite a bit of work to do, but chases on, tries to make the clearance that little bit more tricky, as Knights are able to at least play the ball down towards that halfway line. We'll get another opportunity to see this fine handling from the spectator across on the far side. Watching.
There we go, just like that. Yep, if Finlay Brown was coaching, I think he'd be recruiting him into the team. He was most taken by that. Good fielding from the spectators, making sure their eyes are on the ball.
And certainly watching, never moved by all accounts. Kenny, Boroughmuir leading by 14 points to nil. The skipper just over the ball at the moment. Swan picks up the reverse pass, then trying to release Ram, who's shown what he can do as well, scoring the second try of the contest. Ronan Kerr and Ram and Brown have looked threatening and dangerous in this first half. Lanny too, before he sustained that injury. Picked up this time by Scott Robinson, who's on for the injured Lanny. Back it comes once more to Jack Fisher. Second row forward alongside Callum Atkinson in the second row for Boroughmuir. There is Atkinson. Fine turn now. Atkinson up into that 22. Goes to ground. A massive figure. And it's on now towards Tom Brown. Atkinson, a giant of a man, watching on here as Brown again tries to weave his way out of trouble. Rap tackle there from Russell Anderson, the Southern Knights skipper, just slowing him down. Extras from Corey Boker, the loose head just coming through to try and complete the clear out. But Boroughmuir have it once again on the edge of that left hand side. Coming back in field goes Carmichael. This is Kerry once more, takes on play on towards Callum Smith. Smith back on from that yellow card. This time against Boroughmuir, look to Ronan Kerr to see what he can do. Again he tries to weave his way around. He did well to get away from Boker there. Up and beyond that 5 metre line. Boroughmuir sensing an opportunity to get another try on the board. Kenny in amongst it all, so to a clutch of forwards. Boroughmuir practically on that try line. They look to try and spread it out towards the left hand side, and it's the replacement Scott Robinson who's been on the park the matter of 5-6 minutes. He lands a try to increase Boroughmuir's advantage to 19 points to nil with 31 minutes on the clock and the conversion to come. And Boroughmuir, since the restart following that lengthy injury, Boroughmuir have certainly enjoyed a fine 5 or 6 minutes of play.
Yeah, and again, when they're in and around the Southern Knights 22, they're coming away with points. They're just going through the phases, and in fairness, it's a fantastic try. Bears are playing some really good rugby. That, as you touched on, Stuart, their danger runners, Tom Brown, Callum Ram, the likes, getting a bit of space, making good yardage. It was brilliant to see in the middle of that Callum Atkinson, the big second row, galloping into the open pastures. But it's the way that Boroughmuir get their support there. The scrum half, Rory Swans in quickly, get the ball away, just don't allow the Southern Knights any chance to get their defence set, shift that point of contact, use the big carriers up the middle, then go to the width. Southern Knights defence is all over the place because of the quality of this Boroughmuir attack.
Boroughmuir looking to add the extras then from their fly half. Can he make it 3 from 3? Yes, he does. So that's him on to now 24 points for the season. A personal tally for Jack Bergen, 3 from 3 this afternoon in terms of his conversion rate. And he gets back into his own 22 for the restart. 7 minutes until the interval, 21 points to 0. Boroughmuir Bears will first of all clearly want the win this afternoon to get back to winning ways after a heavy defeat through an Alloway last time out, but they'll also be looking for the bonus points this afternoon, and they've a good opportunity for them to get to that stage with 21 points, 3 tries on the board with just 33 minutes of the game played. The box kick now, chased well, but once more Southern Knights are able to gather and cross that whitewash and get back into Boroughmuir territory again. So that pass comes in as Knights once more look to scrum half Crawford with a little offload. There's some pace coming into play. Baliwara there is looking to carry on the field of play, almost through with Scott. Again up with play there, Oliver Melville trying to work a position as it's through the hands quickly of Corey Boker, whose head propped, carried up towards the edge of the 22. Crawford goes in again, has a look towards that right hand side. Pickles plays the ball further out. Scott was coming in.
I'm sorry, this boy's out cold. No.
And the referee,
before that line breaks happen, he's gone out cold.
Has immediately spotted a player down there who's going to receive a little bit of treatment. A Knights player sprawled out on that 22, but much better from the Southern Knights.
Really good attacking play, just getting tempo into their attack, a little bit of footwork before contact so that Bears can't get that aggressive big tackle in. Melville did really well to hold the ball. He almost guddled it, he regathered it. That got them in behind the Boroughmuir defence, and then just mixing it up. And yes, it's a shame in the end that they didn't get the score, but yeah, the referee, he's got to look after player welfare, as we hear him saying here.
I've seen your teammate here go out cold way before the line breaks happened. For me it was, that's when I blown the whistle the first time. I get that, but I have an obligation for him. I know it's frustrating, I know.
Not entirely sure where the man gets taken out.
It's Ben Pickles is the player down.
No, it's your own players.
Yeah, no. So Pickles,
it's his own players running
with the pass,
I watched him fall, that's what I've stopped.
He ends up colliding sort of into the shoulder of Jordan Miller.
Yeah. And yeah, as Finlay Brown, the referee, is saying, that's where his vision was at that time. He was watching it unfold, and so yeah, he's absolutely right to stop the game as soon as possible and make sure he gets the treatment that he requires as quickly as possible. And if he's completely out cold, it's another one to add to Bruce Ruthven, the Southern Knights coach's injury list. So he will not be playing any further part this afternoon.
Yeah, it'll be White's ball. It'll be about 2 minutes left, I think. 2 minutes. Maybe a wee bit more than that. Craig?
Eventful
no, I appreciate that,
first half for us,
Stuart.
Stuart.
One when you're here. The scrum down there. I'll give you that one, playing the 9th foot, if I see you do it again.
Ben Pickles. And he'll be taken into the Meggetland.
Yeah. I'll give you that one. Okay, boys, let's go.
The Southern Knights medics, just assuring that
time up. Okay, thank you.
All due care and attention given to the outside centre, but it has. There's been plenty of talking points in the first 34 minutes. Knights will resume with the scrummage here on the edge of the Boroughmuir 22. From their point of view, this would be a vital time for them to score, get something on the board before we reach half time.
Yeah, and I think for the second half in general, just to give Knights a bit of a lift, just Boroughmuir will have to come out and play if it's 21-7. If they go in 21-0 down, having defended this passage again, they'll feel really comfortable, really confident going into this second half. It's a big scrum from Boroughmuir.
Boroughmuir, the players congratulating each other for a fine effort in the scrimmage.
Number 3.
Winters, I think, is the player that has come on to replace Ben Pickles. So Southern Knights have lost the services of both their centres, Pickles and Robbie Chalmers, in the space of 5 minutes or so.
It's about 5 to go.
Boroughmuir then looking to play from the edge of their 22. Players checking with the referee how long is left until the interval. Around 4.5 minutes on our clock, plus any time the referee still to add on. As they've made it up towards the halfway line, they will have the throw in, and coming across is Corey Tate looking to deliver this throw. They tend to have about 5 in the Boroughmuir line. 5 players in position now.
Good analysis, Stuart, as 5 players walk in. That's right on cue.
That won't happen again, not very quickly anyway. Good take there from the fullback Tom Brown, just on the edge of that 10-metre line.
Use it!
Swan just having a look to his left hand side to see what options are available. Tackle comes in from the Knights. Tight head drop there, Harrison. Again, Boroughmuir just looking to work something from between their 10 and 22 at the moment.
Use it now!
There will be a box kick from the scrum half Swan. Delivers it with plenty of height. Underneath it, the Knights have players now in position. Colin a deeper line position for the fullback taking the ball into contact. It's going to be recycled by Crawford. Opportunity as Colin gets back to his feet. Southern Knights attacking again. Melville is forced backwards. He's certainly a willing carrier, and it's dangerous if he's provided any open space. Alan Ferry this time tries to gain some ground. Picked up this time though by
carry back wide, no 50-22.
Crawford on to Swan. Swan's left-footed kick ends up going straight out on the full, and that just eats up a couple of more valuable seconds as Boroughmuir heading towards the interval, leading by 21 points to 0. Still time, of course, in the half for either side to get further points on the board. The Knights to get off and running. Boroughmuir another try would secure the bonus point.
Just open, fellas.
Yeah, just big defence again from Boroughmuir, and in the end it's Cammy Scott looks to just put a bit of pressure on through the kicking game, but just overcooks it just by a matter of yards. So yeah, actually Boroughmuir will be delighted with their defence and a chance to launch an attack. Great break.
Excellent once more, that splinter run as it's picked up very quickly there by Goodwin, the tight head prop, just doing the work of the scrum half. Ball bounces and Brown is able to pick up and trying to gain some ground beyond that 10-metre line. Kenny over the ball at the moment, so too Swan. Swan then delivers the pass. Once more they look to reorganise, and once more Atkins tries to gain some valuable ground there, some inches to increase the Boroughmuir advantage, both territorially and points on the board. But Knights are able to clear downfield, just easing the pressure on them, as this time it does find touch inside that Boroughmuir half off the field. There is Jack Bergen, who's been successful with 3 conversions from 3. He's kicked well from hand as well on occasion this afternoon when called upon. And a chance for Corey Tate to throw the ball in here, one of the last set plays of the first half. Callum Smith will come across with the instructions. He's at the front, just Marcus Goodwin towards the back, and then Corey Tate then with the throw in. Once more Boroughmuir are able to win the ball in the air, work it back towards Corey Tate, the hooker. Is able to have some time to look up, see what's in front of him. That player is Douglas Crawford with the initial tackle. The Southern Knights scrum half tries to come round the corner there. Tackle this time made by Russell Anderson, the Knights captain this afternoon, recycled by Swan. Quickly through the hands then from Bergen towards the left hand side. Tom Brown again. He's delighted at any opportunity to run into open space. You can see he's got the bit between his teeth this afternoon, the Boroughmuir fullback. Still they carry with purpose. Ian Carmichael tries to work his way beyond that 10-metre line. Accidental offside called by referee Finlay Brown.
Accidental offside.
Seconds, just a little less than 30 between now and half-time, Colin, and plenty, as you say, plenty of
we got
talking
left,
points in
Duncan.
a lively first half.
Yeah, another really
30
positive
seconds.
attack from Boroughmuir there as well, getting yards again, just the variety of getting out to the width, then coming back up the midfield. Southern Knights will be quite happy on that occasion that Finlay Brown, the referee, decided there was an accidental offside and gives them the put into the scrum, which in itself provides a bit of a problem given the aggression that the Bears have had at a number of these scrums, made it really difficult for the Knights to get the ball out. They do well on that occasion.
Crawford, a little bit of pressure there. Sam Derrick, the Southern Knights number 8, scored in the game a little bit earlier on at the Green Yards. Apologies if you picked up any foul language there, as the players just coming together. And ball carried by Alan Ferry. It's just pinged into touch there by Douglas Crawford. The referee has seen enough, blows for half-time. Boroughmuir will head purposefully into the home dressing room, protecting a 21-0 lead, with the 3 tries coming in the first half where they lost the services as well of Callum Smith to a yellow card. So he was in the sin bin for 10 minutes. But they got off and running in 9 minutes with Jack Fisher scoring the first of the 3 tries. An excellent Callum Ram try in 25 minutes, then doubled their advantage. And then replacement, Scott Robertson on for the injured Tom Lanny. What was that? Third of the scores in 31 minutes to give Boroughmuir a 21-0 lead at the interval, in a sense that they're just a try away from a bonus point this afternoon, a try bonus, which they would thoroughly enjoy, particularly if it's on the back of a comprehensive win. Southern Knights, on the other hand, have plenty of work to do at half-time, and that treatment table is going to look somewhat congested as well, with them losing the services of 2 very important players in the first 40 minutes. 21-0 then to Boroughmuir Bears at half-time. And we'll bring Colin Gregor in around about 5 minutes' time for his analysis of the first half. But first, let's turn the attentions to the Scotland Sevens, who are in action in Los Angeles this weekend. And before leaving for LA, Scotland Sevens captain Jamie Farndale sat down with us to offer his insight into some of the standout moments of his rugby career. Farndale, who represented his country at a landmark 50th event on the circuit this weekend, talks through the beginning of his professional journey with Edinburgh. Of course, he featured prominently for a number of seasons with Edinburgh, bouncing back from injuries, his incredible consistency with the Scotland Sevens party, featuring for the Great Britain team and for Team Scotland. Here is part of our interview. The second part will follow at half-time in the next game coming up, the Heriots match with Stirling Wolves this afternoon. But here is part 1 of our feature with Jamie Farndale.
I'm Jamie Farndale, and these are the moments that made me. Yeah, so this first picture must be 2012, and brings back a lot of memories of what was a pretty crazy year for me. I left school quite young, and I played all the sort of age grade stuff, but never dreamt of being a professional rugby player or anything. But because I was so young, got offered this academy contract with Edinburgh and thought, you know, I'll go for this for a year and then see where I'm at. And then, yeah, I ended up playing for the under-20s a couple of years up. Went to the World Cup and finished off top try scorer there. And then, yeah, made my debut for Edinburgh. I remember coming off the bench with Chris Patterson. You know, I was training and you know, with all these guys that were my childhood heroes growing up. So yeah, it was just this whirlwind of a year. And I got to the end of it, and yeah, realised that this is what I wanted to do. So signed on a sort of three year contract there. Unfortunately, then started that next season with Accies. I actually broke my leg, fib and tib, spiral fracture, compartment syndrome. So what was a pretty serious injury. Probably luckily, naively, I was quite young. I didn't really realise what was ahead of me in terms of getting back and getting playing. So because of that, just sort of took it day by day, and it took a year, but got myself back playing, got myself back fit. I suppose I sort of thought that I would just pick up where I left off and hit the ground running, but it took a lot more in terms of getting back into playing rugby and you know, getting used to rugby again. Took a bit of time, and unfortunately, just once I felt like I, got back playing well again, had another pretty serious injury, a hamstring disattached from the bone, and had to get that reattached. So before I knew it, that sort of 3 years or 4 years that I had with Edinburgh that had started with this sort of whirlwind. I was back in the Edinburgh team and training, but felt pretty far from the starting team. This opportunity to go across and train with the Sevens came up. So grabbed that with both hands. I had sort of 6 or 8 months left, and went across. And Colin was the coach at the time. He'd just come in, and I just was there training. Missed out on match day squads. Missed selection for tournament after tournament, and then finally last tournament of the year was the Twickenham Sevens, and brings me on to this next photo. And this is that tournament. So picked for that, went down, and it was sold out. Twickenham Stadium, 80,000 people, been drinking Pimm's all day, loudest crowd I'd ever played in front of. I remember Scott Riddell put me in, first touch the ball, left to right, drawn pass, put me in for a try. And then this photo was from that evening. Played England and beat them. I think Damo scored a hat-trick. And it was just the best sporting experience I'd ever had. And that was me. I thought Sevens is what I want to do. This is just crazy. The best sport to play, the best sport to watch. I just wanted more of it. And yeah, luckily Kitty saw something in me and signed me on for the following year. And I suppose from then didn't really look back. I probably owe a lot to him in terms of the coaching he gave me and opportunities he gave me as well. But yeah, I think it was 42 or 43 tournaments in a row I then went with the Sevens. Some of the success that we had with that squad, obviously that Twickenham final, the first one against South Africa, the comeback that we had to win. We hadn't been past a semi-final, so to get to a final was something, and then to win it in the way we did in the last play of the game was just crazy. And yeah, I was lucky. I came into quite a Seven squad that had been together for a long time. So for me, it was just amazing, just learning off these guys, the experiences I had, the success we had. Won the following year, beat New Zealand for the first time. Just amazing. Managed to get myself to a Commonwealth Games and to a World Cup. So just some amazing experiences in that Sevens journey. But then COVID hit, and obviously 16 teams flying to one location to play each other and then go back to the home countries just was a non-starter for a good couple of years. So Sevens was put on ice, and I got this opportunity to get back in with Edinburgh in that COVID season, and managed to play a good few games there that season, which I loved. These were all the guys that I grew up playing with, my best friends from growing up and playing Damo, Dino, so playing alongside them and a lot of the other guys. It was such a tight-knit squad, and yeah, a lot of fond memories of that season. And this photo here is me and Damo. I think it was Zebra. We'd just beaten them, and yeah, last play a cross kick came across and finished it off, and that's Damo running across. So yeah, that was a really special season for me, especially because of that 4 years where I'd had I played a bit early on, but then injury and whatnot had set me back a bit. So to get back in and get playing was awesome. I loved it.
That the first of 2 parts of the interview with Jamie Farndale. If you stick around at half-time in our final game, the Heriots-Stirling Wolves game, you will hear the second part of the interview there with Jamie. But Colin, a player, I'm sure that you appreciate his skill set, his talents, his time with Edinburgh, his time as a Sevens player, and he's going to be integral this weekend when you think they're playing England in, what's that, around about 2 hours time? 2.5 hours time?
3 hours, I think, 6:04. Yeah.
And then Kenya and Samoa, the group that Scotland face in Los Angeles.
Yeah, a tough group as well. tough, but actually all games winnable as well. So yeah, against starting off against England, it's a great start, and if they go well there, you think a couple hours later they're playing against Samoa, who years ago were excellent, and then they've had a real resurgence of late, and Kenya, who can be hit or miss, and Scotland have had some classic ding-dongs with them in the past. So yeah, Jamie Farndale, great the off-pitch work he does as well around the kind of sustainability piece and the role that sport can play in that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to hear the second part of his interview later on today. Yep.
Jamie Farndale. And Scotland then in Los Angeles playing sevens, the first game getting underway in a couple of hours time against England.
You okay?
So to Boroughmuir Bears, Southern Knights, Meggetland, half-time. There's the scoreline, 21 points to 0. Let's take a look back at some of the moments in the first half.
Yeah, I believe so.
Well, it took around 9 minutes for Boroughmuir Bears to open the scoring. The ball eventually working its way to Jack Fisher, the second row forward, powering his way across the line. That the first real clear-cut opportunity Boroughmuir were presented with in the first half.
Yeah, and this is the culmination of a number of phases, just a real quality team try and recognition at the end there from Bergen, the fly half, that he's got a big bruising ball carrier outside him, and this close to the line, it's going to take a titanic effort from Southern Knights to bring him down, and they're unable to. But it was the lead up play and just the way that Boroughmuir, any time they've been in or around the Knights 22, they've been really, really ruthless. Just the big physicality when needed, and a bit of class from the likes of Tom Brown at fullback. And talking of class, a lovely strike here from Jack Bergen off the tee to make the 5 into 7, and the ideal start for Boroughmuir Bears.
Yeah, he's racking up the points. Is Bergen, certainly with 24 points now to his name. Now this started with a good attempt here, Ollie Melville with a good carry and run. We've seen Ollie Melville on a few occasions in the first half trying to escape the tensions of the Boroughmuir players, but it ended up in a yellow card shown to Callum Smith for that right shoulder. You see Melville going to ground, the second phase presenting an opportunity here for Southern Knights, but immediately coming through the right shoulder of Smith, the yellow card from the pocket of the referee. Boroughmuir down to 14 men, no damage done in that time, and then Callum Ram showing the Southern Knights a clean pair of heels from close range inside that 22. Fine bit of work from the right winger to score the second try, coming around 26 minutes into the game.
Yeah, just after Callum Smith had returned from the sin bin, and great recognition when the loose ball that fragmented that Southern Knights defensive line. The pass here, you see it just going behind the intended target, but it's great recognition, great offload, and lo and behold, we're straight back into the action. The second half is underway.
And Scott Robinson scoring try number 3. I'm sure we'll get to see that again at the end of the match. So 3 converted tries, Boroughmuir leading by 21 points to 0. There's a change straight away in the hooker position with Russell Anderson being replaced. Well, in fact, it says there Corey Boker has been replaced by Fraser Rennick, so it could be that Russell Anderson does indeed take a separate position in the front row. Grant Shields is also on. So we'll just get confirmation, we'll get a look at the front row. Boker had a blank jersey but was playing loose head. Shields is on for Anderson. Well, I'd imagine that Rennick will be the replacement for Anderson, and Shields will be on possibly for Corey Boker.
It's accidental offside, fellas.
So there'll be 2 changes for the Knights on half time.
Yeah, the scrum, Boroughmuir have had scrum ascendancy, scrum dominance, so Bruce Ruthven looking to make a personnel change to see if that has any impact, and we'll get a first chance to have a crack at it. With the Scott Robinson fan club, is it just to keep them engaged till the end of the game? We'll wait till full time to show his wonder try.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's only fair. We'll just keep them on tender hooks just that little bit longer.
Yeah, keep them engaged, watching on. Who knows what he's going to do in this second half as well.
Excellent try from the replacement. Back to the action now. So Ewan Harrison remains on the park. The only player in the Southern Knights front row to start the game is on the park. So 2 of the 3 changed in that front row. Penalty awarded to Boroughmuir with Southern Knights not rolling away. And Robertson is the last of the players back to his feet. He's wearing 23 this afternoon. Big Kerry having a word with one or two of his players, particularly those joining him in the back row this afternoon, Ian Carmichael being one. That's pinged down towards the edge of the 22, and Boroughmuir will have this platform to build. Remember, two victories so far for Boroughmuir this season. They've already beaten the Southern Knights in recent weeks, and the Knights themselves coming into this game on the back of their first win of the season, which was a victory against the Stirling Wolves. We'll see if Boroughmuir then can apply some pressure here. Corey T, ball one in the line, immediately around the corner. Carmichael trying to work his way into the 22 and does successfully. Swan then the scrum half, offloaded once more, and Boroughmuir trying to gain some ground into the Knights 22. Quickly through the hands there of Bergen, out towards the right hand side. A good solid wrap tackle there by Oliver Melville, just slowing up the initial Boroughmuir attack. Keddy takes the ball on at pace. Rennick just adjusts his feet there as it comes back now towards Callum Atkinson. We've seen him gallop once so far in the game. Huge frame and certainly a dangerous player when he's got some open prairie to run into. Pass goes a little bit loose. Could be gathered initially by Melville. It's picked up by Ram. Ram though just running out of begin with, a little bit untidy
knock on by White.
Southern Knights knock on has been signalled by the referee Finlay Brown, and high time we heard once again from Colin Gregor.
Yeah, good defence, Oliver Melville, because initially Boroughmuir did really well getting on the front foot. Lovely little peel out the back of the line out from Corey Tate, the hooker. In the next phase, they're on that. They're getting into the heart of the Southern Knights defence, but then when they look to go to the width, it's Oliver Melville. He goes for the calculated, really fly in and snuff out the attack with a ball and all tackle as it is, just not allowing the Boroughmuir attacker to get the ball outside him. And it just meant that Boroughmuir were then chasing their attack from there. Again, it almost led to an intercept for Knights in the process. They knock on, so it's Boroughmuir that get to reset, regroup at scrum time, which will have reset. But yeah, Oliver Melville leading the Knights charge there defensively.
I just need you both to stay high, okay? Stay up.
This week 4 as well for both clubs, and the players obviously beginning to know that bit more about each other, but if there was any cobwebs and any rustiness, you would hope that by this stage the coaching staff certainly would hope that the players would certainly sharpened up, and we've seen maybe a little bit more cohesion throughout the game that wasn't necessarily all that visible in all matches in week 1, so that was part of the development. But the real worry, particularly for the Southern Knights, is the casualty rate is mounting up, as that's been snapped up there by Swan again. Just tries to work his way away from white jerseys and away from trouble. He was able to find the hands then of Fisher, and it's continued forward by a Boroughmuir team, increasingly determined to get this bonus point try. Work through the hands of Robinson. Now outside centre there was Ronan Kerr trying to provide a fine line there for his teammates to take the ball into contact. They do so in the 22. Picked up by Swan once again. Again, just having to dip and lower from his height there, Marcus Goodman. But back it comes through the hands of Bergen out towards the left hand side this time. Ronan Kerr picking a fine line, offloading to Joe Jenkins, and Jenkins is in. He's going to touch down, not quite underneath the post, but a fine move involving the backs again. Kerr peeling away, timing the pass towards Joe Jenkins, who's in for try number 4, 26 points to 0, and that bonus point hasn't taken too long for them to win it. Boroughmuir scoring 5 minutes into this second half as we get to see it once more.
Yeah, really good score again from Boroughmuir. Good defence on the whole from Southern Knights, getting a real intensity and aggression to it, but Boroughmuir, the recognition when it's on to get it out to the wide channels, and great play. You were talking earlier, Stuart, about the players just knowing each other, and game number 4, just understanding the patterns they want to play, just the execution there, the change of line from Ronan Kerr, the outside centre, but then that deftness of skill to pick up the offload to Joe Jenkins, who's read what his outside centre teammate Kerr is doing. He changes his line just to get inside that last Knight's defender, pick up the offload. Great execution, cracking score.
We'll see then if Bergen can add the extras once again. That's just beginning to swing wide of that right hand post, so his first miss of the afternoon. 26 points to 0 But Graham Shield will be delighted. I'm sure this will be back-to-back wins this campaign, certainly for the Boroughmuir Bears against the Southern Knights. Have also beaten in the Stirling Wolves, suffered a defeat away from home at Alloway in the last outing. But once again, that's taken in well there by Josh King, who's worked very hard as part of the back row with Carmichael and Kerry.
Ball's out. Yep.
Back it comes to Swan, evades the challenge coming his way from Campbell, but Boroughmuir are forced backwards, and sprinting back there was Corey Tate, trying to protect his own line. Inside looking for the third win of the season, 3 from 4. Swan now launches a high up and under. Kerry giving chase. Underneath it there, David Colvin, maybe a little bit uncertain. Ball works its way out towards Alan Ferry. Ferry is tackled short of that 22. Crawford again, glance towards the right, but plays it towards the left-hand side. Brings Scott into play. There's the left foot chipped. And the mark is called by Tom Brown into the 22. Melville, Oliver Melville, signalled offside by
number 11, you're in front of the kicker.
Finlay Brown.
Thanks, Johnny.
26-0 though, Colin.
Yeah, just thinking as well, the response from Boroughmuir, given that they were absolutely destroyed last week by the Ayrshire Bulls, but the character of the squad to come back from that, to dismiss it as a bad day at the office, as it were, not to let it linger into this week's performance. It's great credit to the strength of the resilience of this team, of the coaches as well, not thinking we need to rip it up and start again because they struggled last week. They've just gone back to what they know they're good at. They've imposed themselves defensively on Southern Knights anytime Knights have had possession, and their attack has been excellent, making the most of a quality pitch, a nice dry ball, just mixing it up with the big ball carriers that we enjoy seeing trundling through the middle, the Callum Atkinsons and the likes, and then some real deft quality touches from the backs as well.
Atkinson winning the ball in the line. Kerry then colliding there with Cammy Scott. Boroughmuir still just on the fringes of their own half just now. Taken forward again. Swan hurdles a Knights player on the deck. Ball goes loose.
Tackle, he's never in possession.
That's another Southern Knights infringement.
Early tackle, number 20.
Coming together of players, but the game has been played in a well-tempered manner.
He doesn't have the ball.
In previous rounds of this competition, previous years, I know it's not been around all that long, but one thing that the Graham Shield was always very frustrated by was Boroughmuir Bears would find themselves in winnable matches and just miss out. This example, and there's been others this season where they've shown a clinical edge and just wipe the floor with 2 or 3 teams.
Yeah, and that's Graham Shield and the coaches will be delighted by that as well, that they've come into this game saying, right, we are the better team, but just because we are doesn't mean it'll happen. We need to go out and impose ourselves. The first 5 minutes, I think Southern Knights threw a lot at the Boroughmuir Bears defence, but they withstood everything that was thrown at them. They scored off their first attack, and they've just been clinical throughout, and the forwards are just getting more and more ascendancy. And another score.
Another score, encouraged all the way by Craig Keddy, who won the ball in the line out. Corey Tate scoring the try, and we see it so often at professional and part-time professional level, where you've got a hooker throwing the ball in, it's successfully won, perhaps towards the back of the line. There's space for then the hooker to swing round, the ball will work its way back to him, and he's able to power his way towards the line, and was directed all the way by a very vocal captain in Craig Keddy. And Keddy again just congratulating his hooker there. Real determination shown by a Boroughmuir side who've now breached the 30-point mark, 31 points to 0, and there's still plenty of time for both sides to get some points on the board. But it's been a very wounding first 11 minutes of the second half on the back of a damaging final 10 in the first for the Knights.
Yeah, Tate's been outstanding all afternoon and thoroughly deserves his score there, but he's got to be grateful to the rest of his forward pack for the work they did there and getting that maul trundling forward, and it was just unstoppable. Southern Knights could be a long half hour for them if they're not careful here. Boroughmuir Bears have hit their straps and look like they're in the mood to rack up a score, so it's a real test of character for this injury-ravaged Knights team.
Just make sure your number 8
Absolutely.
Time and fellas.
Rutherford will be very mindful of that, and so too the clutch of Southern Knights followers and supporters that have made their way up from the borders to Meggetland for this match. Late August afternoon, sunshine overhead at Meggetland as Keddy in that number 8 jersey, very much part of the furniture around Meggetland, winning the ball for Boroughmuir. Box kick from Swan, downfield gathered by David Colvin. Colvin tries to evade the challenge, stays on his feet just about, then goes to deck. In goes Douglas Crawford once more. Tackles coming in, good bit of work shown there by Josh King. Yes, they've earned the bonus point and more now, Boroughmuir. 33 points to 0 the score line. Pass there from Crawford on towards Fraser Rennick.
Stop, 17!
Scott.
Grant!
Left-footed kick again, trying to gain some ground. But back goes Tom Brown. Has time to spin round and clear downfield closer towards, I was going to say closer towards the 10, but it's sort of equidistant between the 10 and 22.
8. Yeah, Green.
Not his cleanest strike, I don't think, Tom Brown there. As
okay, bring him on.
We're hearing Craig Keddy, Boroughmuir captain and number 8, getting a well-earned rest. I was just thinking how well he's led by example, hasn't he, just from the front. The number of carries that he's made today, some big tackles, just a nuisance at breakdown time as well, slowing Southern Knights possession at almost every opportunity. So great position for Boroughmuir Bears to be in, that they can give him a break for the last half hour of this game, or 26 and a half minutes to be more exact.
So Derek winning the ball in the air, the ball working its way back towards Fraser Rennick. He's inside the Boroughmuir 22. The lead was on for Craig Keddy then, the change confirmed. The carry is good from Grant Shields. So Rennick and Shields are going to be important figures, but the frustration on the face of David Crawford, the outstretched arms as the referee signalling that the penalty awarded to Boroughmuir on the fringes of the 22. And if they can take form like this, a clinical edge like this, take it perhaps up a notch, they're going to be a difficult opponent, particularly for the Edinburgh sides. There's going to be some tasty Edinburgh derbies involved in Boroughmuir this season. Yeah,
absolutely. Take the learnings from last week where they were blown away by the Ayrshire Bulls. Add that to the confidence they should get from performances like this, from the fact that they will have won 3 out of 4 games. That they can mix it. It's just when they're faced with that next level of physicality, just to believe that they can do it, to match up up front. The likes of Keddy, Josh King just winning that turnover, got good physicality. Corey Tate at hooker's been excellent, as have the rest of the front row. They've had that scrum dominance. So it's just believing in themselves, because again, without disrespecting Southern Knights, they are not as strong as some of the teams in this Super 6 competition. So that's where Boroughmuir just believe what they can do in this game. It might not be quite as easy, they might need to work a little bit harder for it, but back themselves to do that, and there's no reason why they can't make a bit of a statement.
Yeah, it seems to be quite clear that Knights are putting quite a lot of emphasis just at the moment on youth and young players, and of course they don't have Patrick Anderson at the moment. There's a couple of players that they're missing that certainly would look upon to be creative influences, even on an occasion like this when they're trailing by 33 points to 0. Ian Sim would be another. Both Ian and Patrick Anderson.
Just knock on the line out, fellas.
Recent times.
So it's going to be a scrum. It's knock on the line out.
Knock on. It's a scrummage here. Knights still trailing by 33 points to 0.
This is the challenge for both teams, but for Boroughmuir, I suppose, in particular, is when they're making the changes. How does that impact the flow of the game, of their performance? How quickly can the replacements get up to speed? It's really difficult when you come on, when you're 30 points up. You want to make an impression as well. You want to get involved in it to show that actually, whilst the team are going really well, I was on the bench this week, but I want to do something that I can maybe get a start next week. So are you just adding a bit more pressure, trying to do something yourself, whereas actually it's just about working as a team and making sure that what's been going well so far, you just add to that.
Here on the screen, just confirmation of Demerel on for Jordan Miller. Some changes to both the Knights and to the Boroughmuir side, and Demerel immediately involved in the action with a solid carry as the Knights again looking to gain some ground up towards the fringes of the 22. They go once again. Crawford on, taken on this time by Wallace Nelson. He's been a little quieter after having a bright start in the contest. The first 10-15 minutes he was a real purposeful carrier. Forced backwards is Derek, but he still has possession of the ball just now, the Southern Knights number 8, and they're trying to splinter through up closer towards that 22. They go in once again, the Knights looking for an avenue to get inside the 22, into the danger ground, into the danger area. Ferry
number 4,
22. They've got the advantage though, and it's on now towards the aforementioned Nelson. Just stopped on the 22. Rennick has it now, back towards Scott. Flatter pass out there. Players across on the right hand side. Finn Douglas just couldn't gather possession of the ball there. They'll come back for the earlier penalty. 3-0 the scoreline remains.
Side entry.
But yeah, a team like Knights certainly hasn't been able to look up on the bench and say, right, we've got a group of finishers here. After an hour, we're going to bring these guys on to see out the remaining 20 minutes and win the game.
Yeah, but it's just blooding them at this level, isn't it? If they can get a bit of an opportunity, and again, it's the game is well and truly done, but it's how do they finish it, and do the guys on the bench come on and show the coaching team that they can mix it at this level, that as and when the injury list is shortened by Southern Knights, you'd hope that the experiences this group have had during this time makes the squad stronger in the long run. It's scant consolation on when you're at this stage of a game, but yeah, for the coaches, for the rest of the guys involved in Southern Knights, trying to look at that longer term picture rather than just getting too caught up in the disappointment of the here and now.
Rennick's throw, won again by Derek. Rennick tries to join in the drive, but they'll just take a step or two back and watch the action unfold in front of him as the Knights now are up practically on that line. A pick and go there from Alan Ferry. Is he over for the score? The forwards then not requiring the services of their hooker. They've scored a try. 58 minutes on the clock, almost an hour gone. Fine piece of play from a line out from Rennick, and you see them just making their way back to the halfway line. Little or no acknowledgement of the score, but it was Derek who initially wins the ball in the line.
Okay, I'll look, no problem.
And the ball eventually works its way through the two lock forwards.
We'll
and
keep
it's
playing.
picked up in the end by Alan Ferry. I think Campbell was the first carrier. Ferry then coming through, scooping up a metre or so from the line. And he's over for a score and a chance for Cammy Scott to add the extras. It will be perhaps nothing more than consolation, but at least it's a point on the board for them, or 5 to be precise.
Yeah, and the forwards did well. They just kept their composure. Boroughmuir's defence fragmented, and there was just recognition of where the opportunity was, going back down that short side just with the pick and go. Boroughmuir's discipline just creaking a bit. They've just conceded a couple of penalties, which we didn't see them conceding in the first half, the first 50 minutes, which just allows the Southern Knights to get back into this game. Excellent conversion kick as well from Cammy Scott. So yeah, how did Boroughmuir respond now?
20 minutes to play, just a fraction more, and Jamie Campbell winning the ball from the restart. Over the ball at the moment in possession, Crawford looking to line up a box
Douglas,
kick.
now please.
They'll make it playable. The referee's wanting to get on with it. There is the box kick, left-footed from the Southern Knights scrum half. Underneath it now is the blindside flanker Josh King. He's run a couple of good balls in the air, tried to get Boroughmuir once more on the front foot. No service provided by Craig Carey. He's been replaced, was so in the 53rd minute. His afternoon's work is done. To the hands again of the backs, and they're trying to work it out on that right hand side. Ronan Kerr angling around beyond halfway, he goes. Swan in behind once more. Boroughmuir looking to mop up and straighten up, and that's a fine piece of running once again by Jack Fisher, who scored the first of their tries much earlier on, 9 minutes into the game, almost taken on there one-handed. But out of the backdoor pass from Alan Ferry, his confidence has been lifted somewhat. And Blythe. Lafferty is on for Callum Smith in the front row for Boroughmuir Bears.
Advantage over.
It's another
Use it.
replacement. Martin McGinley is
step,
also in the picture,
No,
wearing
Brandon,
18. A bit closer to the camera as the box kick once more from Crawford, the Knights scrum half. Brandon Sweet
Just
back
step, Fraser,
on the
step.
park
There.
in place of Corey Tate. So another change in that front row for Boroughmuir. Off they go once again. Out the side door this time. Scott Robertson on towards Ronan Kerr. Callum Ram on that right hand side as well, making some ground. Picked up by the Southern Knights, trying to work it up towards the halfway line. They go again. Recycled by Crawford on towards Rennick, taken on this time by Demerel. For the players in the Southern Knights team and supporters wondering if he's going to get a few starts between now and the end of the season, as he's quite often been effective off the bench. Back on the Boroughmuir try line, and they're able to clear the lines. They've eaten up a couple of minutes, and Southern Knights scored that try through the second row forward, Alan Ferry. Back it comes again, just on that 10-metre line. Knights looking to recycle at close quarters. Picked up once more by Crawford, ricocheting off a couple of forearms there. Harrison, the tight head, comes in. Back in now towards Rennick. Through the hands now of Scott. On at pace now, this is better play as Wara now tries to work it up inside that 22. Back it comes Crawford. Again, very quickly through the hands of Ferry. This better from the Southern Knights. Is there an end product here? Boroughmuir remain disciplined defensively. A little pop pass from Nelson. Eating up further ground as Demerel carries well. Still in the fringes of the 22 as you see. And once more, Boroughmuir, remember, they're protecting a bonus point lead, 33 points to 17, as it's carried forward there by Grant Shields. 3 wins from 4 it would be if they can see this one out, which they surely will at this stage in the contest. But Knights certainly be looking for something more than just sustained possession of the ball inside their position 22. Quickly taken, get the back to Colin in a second as we're watching on as Demerel once again driving forward. Boroughmuir tackles coming in. Southern Knights are still in possession of the ball, but it could be a turnover opportunity for Boroughmuir, which is the ball dislodged. It's back with King. He's able to offload, and Boroughmuir now suddenly has space on this right hand side. 1-on-1 situation opens up. Important tackle there from Scott. He stays on the ground just now as play will resume just across on that right hand side. Some really solid challenges coming in. Keelan Clark is flattened. Southern Knights have it once more. Now the little pass on towards Crawford, and Crawford now backs himself to at least make the corner. And Douglas Crawford is in for a try. He's worked ever so hard at scrum half for Southern Knights this afternoon. Crawford found some space on that left hand side, and Colin, that's a second try for Knights, and far from a side with a spring in their step, they're certainly showing a bit of grit and determination.
Yeah, what a passage of play. Fair play commentating on that, Stuart. Just so fast and loose. The number of offloads that, if it was minute 10 of the game, I'm pretty sure we wouldn't be seeing. But because the Boroughmuir think the game's won, they're getting a bit loose with their offloads. Knights are chasing it, so they're throwing caution to the wind and keeping the ball alive as much as possible, which it's great watching. It must be exhausting for these players to play in, and good recognition there from Douglas Crawford just to pick up that support and get the score. He's been good. The Knights scrum half, he's just worked tirelessly. Definitely one of the smaller men on the pitch, but he gets in and around and he tries to keep some tempo to that Knights attack, and rewarded on this occasion with a score.
Cammy Scott having received that little bit of treatment to the right shoulder collarbone area, is going to resume his role as the kicker from the tee. Remember, we said coming in, David Colvin had accrued 12 points from the opening 3 matches. Well, this will be a further 2 points for Scott, looking to make it 2 from 2 from between the 5 and 15 channels. That's an excellent conversion as well from the Southern Knights fly half. 33 points to 14. Food for thought for both the Boroughmuir coaching staff and the Knights as well, with Bruce Ruthven. Well, his spirits maybe lifted ever so slightly with those 2 scores, but Graham Shule will be concerned his side may have switched off or lost the momentum, and that front going forward play that has served them so well in the match so far.
Yeah, quick score again now from Knights, and it could be game on. It's another cracking conversion from the Knights fly half, Cammy Scott. It's a great take from Josh King. His team needed that, need to get a hold of possession, just get a little bit smarter, just take the momentum away from Southern Knights.
Mike Maud is on in place of Ewan Harrison, so Harrison at tight head his afternoon he's done. He's put in a decent shift in excess of 64 minutes before he was replaced. Loop pass out towards the right hand side, and again Boroughmuir trying to work it down the right channel. Swan eager to get on with it. You see that the Boroughmuir side want to get themselves back on top in this contest. The pendulum may be beginning to swing a little bit towards the Southern Knights with just the momentum. There's a fine piece of running now inside the 22. Equally good tackle though as Boroughmuir are slowed up, but again they look to recycle very quickly. Uncertainty from Kerr if he's going left and right. He's devoured in a tackle there from Alan Ferry, but it's back through the hands of Swan, on very quickly through Bergen. Once more Swan goes in, has a little look at the options. They'll work it out towards the right hand side again. Well, a 2-on-1 situation open up here. Excellent tackle coming in. The Knights replacement certainly showing what they can do defensively just at the moment, as advantage is coming the way of Boroughmuir, and they're close towards that right hand side as you see. As the camera pans out, and once more Swan over the ball at the moment.
He's the first man.
Looking to try and recycle quickly.
Yeah, okay, time will go. 18's offside the phase before.
What a break from, I think it was Blythe Lafferty, wasn't it, the replacement hooker, running a lovely angle just to get through that Southern Knights defence.
Well, he's down for head injury.
Fairness, Knights regrouped really well, got their defence sorted, and Bears, whilst they were threatening and knocking on the door on that occasion, Knights will be happy that they've repelled the initial attack, although at the cost of a penalty, so the danger by no means cleared. Great to see the replacement hooker for Boroughmuir charging into the open field.
Jerry Blythe, Lafferty on for Corey Tate.
I'm having to ask you to hold our step.
Please Graham Shield. Players taking opportunities when presented to them, as it looks to juggle the squad for some big games coming up.
If you solve it
of course,
yourself here into the extra
rules at home, but of those derbies we're talking about, still to play Heriots and Watsonians home and away.
Cheers, thanks mate.
There's going to be a lively few weeks in the capital.
Yeah,
now and
he's okay. Water off, boys.
The competition.
Water off.
6-7
what are you doing, Bears? Okay. It's going to be here. 18 offside.
Looks like that might be Oliver Melville making his way to the sideline as well for Southern Knights, which is shame he's looked lively today, but also if it's another injury, then you just can't help but feel for the rest of the team, the rest of the coaches really scraping the barrel now.
Forward they come then, Boroughmuir with the throw in. Lafferty's throw towards the back of the line. Purposeful drive here once again shown by Boroughmuir, and those blue and green jerseys keeping ever closer towards the line. The referee, whistle to mouth, raises the arm, and a response from Boroughmuir, a power drive from the throw in, the line out, and it's the hooker Jerry Blythe Lafferty who's over for the try. Corey Tate had scored a try earlier in the game, so both hooker and replacement hooker scoring tries. Habib did so well to win the ball in the air, coming down, the ball again working its way back to the front row forward, and the hooker was in for a try. So both the starting and replacement hookers reaching the Southern Knights defence. 38 points to 14 with the kick to come, 12 minutes of the game left to play.
You just felt as soon as the maul was set that they just seemed to get their body positions absolutely spot on. They were just in complete control of that maul. Southern Knights, as we see here, just can't get a chance to repel the onslaught, the drive forward, and yeah, both hookers have scored tries, but both hookers will be very grateful to the 7 forwards that they're packing down with, because they've both been full forward 8 tries from Hooker's just the beneficiary at the back of that maul.
See if this one is a successful conversion. It is. So that's the 40-point mark. I think that's 5 successfully converted tries, and one where Bergen had just drifted it past the right hand post, but he's had an excellent afternoon as well with the boot. 40 points to 14. And Graham Shield, well, he'll assess the last 10 minutes of the contest, the 2 conceded scores, but he's mindful that his team have been able to hit back with a converted try. As we watch Scott now running into his opposite number there in the form of Jack Bergen. David Colvin is back on the field of play in place of Oliver Melville. And Mike Mad taking the ball into contact, another replacement front row forward. Barging players out the way is Wallace Nelson, trying to get his way up inside that 22. Scott on then towards Jamie Campbell, who was an important player in that Alan Ferry try. Really lining up his lock forward partner to score the first of 2 Southern Night tries scored in the second half. 40 points to 14, final 10 minutes in the sunshine at Meggetland. Boroughmuir Bears looking for their 3rd win in 4 and the double over Southern Nights in this 2022 FOSROC Super 6 competition, which will work its way all the way through September into October.
4 and 10 green, fast. 10. Okay, yeah.
Substitutes coming on. Boroughmuir calling for replacements on the bench. Callum Anderson certainly looks as if he's one of the players to come on the field of play.
There's right now.
Of those changes. And I would imagine at this stage, Colin, it's just about shoring things up for the closing stages. If any further opportunities do present themselves, then you certainly go for it.
Yeah, and getting everyone a bit of a run at 10 minutes, it's better than nothing, giving some of the Boroughmuir key players, likes of Jack Bergen at 10, Jack Fisher, the big second row, both getting a little 10-minute break. But yeah, just opportunity for some of the replacements just to get a decent run out and maybe throw the ball around just to enjoy the outing. With having scored that last try, I think the game is well and truly done. One for Boroughmuir Bears, but they'll have pride in making sure Knights don't score any more points, and the flip side of that is Knights will want to end the game as positively as possible, so that they've got things to build on in the next week going forward to next week's games.
Confirmation there, Jack Fisher has been replaced by Luca Alessandri. Boroughmuir change then, and it's a good time to come in the park as well when a lot of the hard work has already been done. Callum Anderson on for Jack Bergen, confirmation of that. But it's been a decent afternoon from Graham Shields' men. I'm sure he'll be looking for a bit more from his side, but taken on now on this left hand side. Southern Knights again trying to gain some ground. The ball just too high and too forceful in the direction of Kieran Clark there, and the winger was not able to latch on to that pass, and closing the door quickly. Tom Brown tracking across inside the 22, so pass goes astray. Opportunity goes a begging, and a chance for Jeremy Blythe Lafferty to come across and throw the ball in. That's a fine double barrel name.
Lads, how many? Let's go.
That's a name of ages.
That's absolutely. Yep. And I mean, he has to perform like he has done today with a name like that. So he certainly lived up to the name, fulfilled it, I would say. Boroughmuir blessed with talent at the hooker position. Corey Tate was really good for the period that he was on, especially out in the open. Both of them keen to get ball in hand, which you know nowadays that's such an important role of the hooker.
Tackles coming in as Southern Knights now looking to escape the attentions of the green and blue jerseyed players inside the Boroughmuir 22. Knights all in white, looking to try and get something else on the board as they chase out a game that is well and truly won from a Boroughmuir point of view. This will be a sore one in the back of a better performance and much better result, an end result against Stirling Wolves with their first win of the season. Pick and go once again as Knights through Crawford, scored the second try, just eating up that ground in the 22. Rennick takes the pass on from Crawford. Age grade internationalist, of course, up 5 metres from the line. Demerel, supporters looking for him to become an important ball carrier. Referee penalising Boroughmuir 5 metres from their own line.
No, he can't lie there. He's got to clear the space. The 9's got no way to the ball.
So another opportunity for Scott to ping this one into touch. 6 minutes of the game left to play. 40 points to 14. Colin, your thoughts will be beginning to head in the direction of player of the match. I'm sure we'll hear about that before the conclusion of the game.
Yeah, difficult one because it's been such a complete team performance from Boroughmuir Bears. I think almost from 1 to 23 there's been quality throughout the team, but I'm going to have to raise one name above the rest, so I'll get onto that in the next minute or two while Southern Knights launch this attack.
Yeah, Derek doing well to win the ball in the line. It's back now with Rennick. Rennick now down, ground level, touches down, and well, anything that either Boroughmuir hooker can do, well, Fraser Rennick can do likewise, and he's back on his feet and they're heading back towards the halfway line. Another well-structured line out there from Southern Knights. The throw in, the ball working its way from Sam Derrick back in the direction of the replacement hooker there, Fraser Rennick, and Rennick then was able to finish it off. Still had plenty of work to do, but a third try for Southern Knights, and could they land a fourth blow and get maybe something in the form of a losing bonus point from their trip to Meggetland. Here we see it again, Derrick winning the ball in the air. The initial drive being led there by Wallace Nelson, who's been a very effective figure. He's had quite the scores in the game, but then it comes back towards Rennick and he's over for the try. They've added the extras with the conversion as well, so 40 points to 21 on the scoreboard there, and you have to say that Southern Knights will still be disappointed, but at one stage it looked as if a 40-21 scoreline was going to perhaps be a tall order, but they have, in fairness to Knights, turned things around, and that they've managed to find a way, not once, twice, but 3 times towards and then over that Boroughmuir line.
And that's it. In defeat, you want to look at what the positives can be for you to build on. I think Southern Knights are at home to Ayrshire Bulls next week, so it doesn't get any easier for them. But the manner in which they've stuck at this for the entire length of the game, that it's an expectation that you do stick at it, but sometimes teams will fold or collapse, and coming back, that line out maul was really well set up, and the execution, Rennick getting over for another try for hookers tonight, or this afternoon rather. So there's plenty to work on for Southern Knights, which you'd expect when they're 40-21 down, but there's also been some positives about their play as well, and really important, great turnover there as well, really important for the coaches to have that kind of positivity to feed to the players going into the next training week.
Yeah, not necessarily the damage done, the damage inflicted when they were at home to Watsonians, and almost capitulated in that game, but now Watsonians are furthest from their minds, as this is a fine piece of running here. The Southern Knights could well be in for that bonus try. A wonderful score there, a clean pair of heels shown by Finn Douglas, a galloping run from halfway, and it knows that has at least produced something valuable in the form of a try bonus point. Here he comes onto the ball on his own 10-metre line, round the corner, escaping the attentions of Blythe Lafferty. He still had some work to do. Tracking across was Callum Ram, but a wonderful score, slams the ball into the turf, and that's the first time we've really seen these Southern Knights players animated in the course of the game. But a wonderful score, and 40-26 could become 40-28. Time is running out for the Knights, but they've certainly had a much better last 15-20 minutes of the game, and they've brought it back to within 12 points, and certainly 53 minutes into the game, Colin, we certainly would have had long odds in this being the scoreline with 2 to go.
Yeah, fair play to Southern Knights for the manner in which, as we just see the the man I've picked for player of the match. Plenty of candidates in that Boroughmuir Bears team, but I think the manner in which Josh King is, the physicality he's brought, the restart gathering, the high balls that he's fielded, he's just got Boroughmuir onto the front foot as and when it's been required. There's plenty of other candidates. The fact that he's gone through the full 80 as well, just still throwing it around, makes him a very worthy, I would say, winner of that, rather than giving it to the easy options of all the outside backs who've scored the tries and had the sort of the showreel occasions. I think it's just the importance of people like Josh King setting the tone from minute one.
Crawford just spins round again. He's able to find Wallace Nelson. Up and over halfway to go. The clock's going to be the biggest enemy just at the moment, Southern Knights, because they're really coming on to a fine game here. Jamie Campbell up towards the edge of the 22. He's tackled. Crawford goes in looking for some quick ball. The try bonus point is in the bag. Can they get something else for finishing within 7 points? Scott there was tumbled. He feels aggrieved. It's been picked up now by Boroughmuir. They're now protecting a 12-point lead in this game. Remember, that was perhaps a little bit of a soft underside of Boroughmuir in previous seasons when they had games, winnable opportunities, they couldn't quite see it out. But on this occasion, they're going to win the contest, but they'll be disappointed that the margin of victory isn't a lot greater and concerned by conceding those 28 points. Credit though to the Southern Knights for a much better final 15 minutes in the game when all seemed lost. Underneath that high ball is Colvin. Colvin almost knocked into touch there. The ball stripped. Colvin picks up once again. He's then tackled after playing it downfield from hand. 4 seconds of the game left to play. A late tackle has been signalled by the referee, Finlay Brown, and it's action right to the very end, Colin.
There's a penalty, so is that a penalty there?
And as you said, Stuart, if there was another 5 minutes, I think Boroughmuir Bears would be hanging on, but the clock will be Southern Knights' enemy, and it's a really strange one. It's great work from Colvin to keep the ball in play, and then recognises when the loose ball fly hacks on, and a bit theatrical the way he went down, but won his team the penalty, and could be a second bonus point if they can get another score. He's gone right to the corner as he overcooked it.
Ball's gone dead.
He has gone dead. There we go.
Referee then blows for full time. An eventful, a lively contest. One of those games where you didn't really want to take your eyes off it for too long because you'd miss something quite significant. Boroughmuir then winning for a third time this season, 3 wins from 4. It's the reverse if you look at it from a Southern Knights point of view. 3 defeats from 4. An encouraging final 15 minutes for a Southern Knights team that seemed to be been put to the sword after 53 minutes. 40 points to 28, the final scoreline. Plenty of talking points, plenty of wonderful scores in the game, none more so than that Finn Douglas try right at the very end to secure a 4-try bonus point for the visiting side. So they'll feel a little bit better making that journey back down to the Green Yards this evening as they reflect on another tough shift in the capital. But Boroughmuir Bears, well, they had the try bonus wrapped up 5 minutes into the second half, and after losing the services of their captain, replacing him, not through injury we understand, after 53 minutes, they seem to go off the boil a little bit. But they're winners nonetheless, and they're certainly going to be a force against the likes of Heriots and Watsonians in the coming weeks.
Well, it's an interesting one that go into the changing rooms after the game, and it'll be Boroughmuir Bears who are almost the more disappointed because of how the final 10-15 minutes panned out, and Southern Knights will be really buoyed by how they came back into that game and made it quite an entertaining spectacle in the last quarter, that's for sure.
Just looking at the body language of the players as they walk up that tunnel there and form a little tunnel for the Boroughmuir players. Rueful expressions, maybe 1 or 2 in the Boroughmuir faces, but Southern Knights, certainly they don't look like players completely deflated and disconsolate and dejected as they might have done had the game finished, after say an hour of the match.
Yeah, and I think that's the manner in which the Southern Knights have come back and thrown everything at Boroughmuir Bears and got some points, got some really well worked tries in the last 20 minutes or so. And the flip side of that, Boroughmuir, if they are serious contenders in this FOSROC Super 6, then it's about 80-minute performances. They'll be challenged more in the upcoming Edinburgh derbies, you feel, but yeah, they'll just be a wee bit frustrated with how they just let that game sort of get away from them almost in the last 15 minutes or so.
Well, if you're joining us towards the end of the commentary, and we're looking forward to the highlights reel, sit back and cop this, because there's plenty to show you. It was a lively encounter. This coming 9 minutes into the first half, the opening Boroughmuir try. Jack Fisher positioning himself well, evading the challenges coming in from the Southern Knights defence, led by the fly half and scrum half on this occasion. And you can see the second row forward here, Jack Fisher crashing over from close range, and for the first of the tries of the afternoon he put in an excellent shift. David Colin just could not stop him at fullback, and that set them on their way. After they had a bright opening 40 minutes, as you'll see, and that was try number 1.
Yeah, and just how clinical Boroughmuir Bears were in particular in that first half. The sniff of the try line, and they just keep their composure. They work well as a team and they get points on the board. And when you've got a kicker like that, just adding the extra 2 points, it's always nice to see. They almost came unstuck here, as we see a big collision in midfield with Callum Smith, the loose head prop, where this one's fine. This is a great tackle from Corey Tate, and it's supported by Carmichael. But this next one, the man on the outside there, it's almost a swinging shoulder, a swinging arm. And Callum Smith, when you think about it, when you look back at that now, it's contact to the head, or Finlay Brown, the referee, said it's a high tackle. So in hindsight, he's probably lucky to get away with a yellow card there. Boroughmuir did well to withstand any pressure and actually got themselves back into this sort of position just before Smith, or just after Smith came back on. And the loose ball out the back here, we just see they're trying to link up with the forwards, but good pressure from the Knights defence. But that offload there, so important from Ronan Kerr. Great strength from Callum Ram on that right wing to fend off the Southern Knights defender. Good pace to get over the line. Just the psychological blow of managing not to concede points when you're down to 14 men, and as soon as you're back up to 15, boom, exploding into life and getting another score.
A lot did hinge on the referee's decision and the colour of the card there. Southern Knights unable to do any damage to the scoreboard in that time, and Boroughmuir then leading by 14 points to 0. And again at close quarters, they're pressing the line, and again going in. Scott Robinson, 31 minutes into the game, 2 players in some space on the Boroughmuir left, and it was Robinson who was a replacement for Tom Lanny, who sustained a nasty looking injury and was down for a good 10 minutes receiving some treatment on the field. Robinson on for Lanny, and this coming maybe about 5 or 6 minutes after he took to the field, scoring a third try. And this again a fine conversion from Jack Bergen. Bergen's points, if he's going to be a regular starter in the Boroughmuir side, are going to be very important for them this season.
Yeah, and today no thoughts at kicking penalties at goal, but you'd have thought if he was in that position he'd be popping over the threes. They went for tries today and they got plenty of them. Great work here, the timing of that pass, the change of angle, the in, the out, the offload, really nice from Tom Brown, Ronan Kerr in the Boroughmuir back line, and then it's the other winger, Joe Jenkins, who gets the beneficiary. Just here, that lovely little pass, the straightening up from Kerr to get inside the Southern Knights defence. The offload was just excellent, perfectly weighted, perfectly timed. Just seen it from a different angle here, just you can see the change of angle just through that gap, bursting through. Last ditch defence from Knights is breached, and just going into the second half to get that first score, and then the second score. That was the final nail in the Knights' coffin, although it almost changed at the end. But yeah, the forwards getting in on the act there with Corey Tate, the hooker, controlling
how
that
animated
maul.
the captain is as well, Craig Keddy, with every charge, with every little bit of acceleration and momentum. He was just, you can see him there just barking instructions and encouragement at his team, and the hooker in for a try, the first of 3 hookers to score this afternoon.
Yep, and Bergen continuing the good form on the boot, a lovely strike, one of those kicks that you'd hope your kicker would get it over, and no mistake on that occasion. And now it's time for Southern Knights to strike back. It took a wee while coming, but they just had the composure at line out time to get their maul going, to get it on the front foot, and then the pick and go when they're in and around. Boroughmuir defence fragmented, they just didn't get their maul defence set. As we see here, the arm comes out from the referee, they've got a penalty advantage, but Boroughmuir all peel open, defending this near side of the ruck, and then Southern Knights recognise that and go down that short side, and it's good strength to get over in the end from Alan Ferry, the Knights' second row.
Conversion as well from out wide, this time from Cammy Scott. Not a great deal of emotion shown on the Southern Knights players, but then Crawford, the scrum half, Douglas Crawford, able to scoop the ball up, found some space down that left hand side, clean pair of heels, he's in for the try. Again, a good offload going to deck, the Knights. He still had plenty of work to do, but he backed himself as Tom Brown was trying to pick a defensive line to cover. The conversion from out wide, suddenly 2 tries on the board, but Boroughmuir were not done in terms of their scoring.
Yeah, it was important Boroughmuir got this score, because it was 2 tries in relatively quick succession from Southern Knights, and if they'd scored again, it was getting a wee bit twitchy for Graham Shiel and the Boroughmuir coaches, but they reasserted their dominance. They got back into the right areas of the pitch, and they just backed their line out maul. Again, great execution, well up there from Habib at the back of the line out, and look at the body positions there, they're just all really dynamic. Southern Knights fragmented away. It's Jerry Blythe Lafferty, the replacement hooker, in control at the back of that maul. As we see, good throw to start the whole thing from Blythe Lafferty there. Up goes Habib, good control, and again from a Boroughmuir coaching point of view, they'll be delighted with just the composure, the manner in which they rumbled their way forward and got over the line.
So that was their response, having conceded those 2 Southern Knights tries in relatively quick succession. Another excellent Bergen score. And then how about this, Fraser Rennick? Well, he's watched 2 Boroughmuir hookers score from close range. He's able to join the drive at this point. He's in possession of the ball, he knows where the line is, down he goes, and he becomes the 3rd hooker of the afternoon to score a try. But again, Derek winning the ball in the back of the line, working its way back, I think, by way of Wallace Nelson. And then Fraser Rennick is looking up, looking towards the referee, and then down the pitch. He knows he's in for the score. Not surprisingly at this stage, Colin, the Southern Knights are eager to get on with things, because they sense that if we can get something else, we could well come away with at least a try bonus. Yeah,
and what a score it is they get then. Just recognition there that Boroughmuir's last defender, he's looking in at the ball, he's left, maybe 2 metres, 3 metres, but that's all the space that the electric Finn Douglas requires. What a finish that is from the Southern Knights flyer. It's great recognition here. We just see Joe Jenkins, the Boroughmuir left winger, you just see him looking in, his shoulders are pointing in, and it's great pass there, zip across him, and Douglas has got the pace to get out on the outside of him. A wee stop start to get round Tom Brown, and he's got the pace to get away from Ram, the covering Bears defender. Cracking score.
Yeah, and on an afternoon where the likes of Ben Pickles and Robbie Chalmers were taken off with injuries and knocks and precautions, to see somebody like Finn Douglas coming on to a pass inside his own half of the field, 10 metres from the halfway line, and being able to produce a score like that, and there's the animation, there is the adulation on the faces of the players, and then suddenly Southern Knights are very much in a game of it. The time though was against them, but at least they head back down to the borders with some points on the board, courtesy of this visit to Meggetland. We'll take a look then at the table ahead of the final game, the Heriots match with Stirling Wolves. Stirling Wolves still without a point, and they're up against the Heriot side that slipped to 4th in the table. Boroughmuir Bears level then on points with Ayrshire Bulls. Watsonians out on top at 16, but still a valuable point for the Knights to have collected this afternoon, and they go level for the moment at least with Heriots, 5 points from now 4 games played.
Yeah, close at the top, isn't it? It's brilliant, and you think if Heriots maybe they're in the kind of no man's land if they beat Stirling today. It's the 3 teams at the top, but it's all to play for. And for Heriots, they want to get back at Goldenacre, get a victory over Stirling Wolves, who have struggled so far this season. And then they've got Boroughmuir Bears next week. If Heriots were to win that, they're potentially right back in the mix.
No surprises last night. It was a close run thing. The 2 of the heavyweights, Ayrshire Bulls 24, Watsonians Rugby 17. They're the scoreline from just a short time ago at Meggetland, 40 points to 28. Both sides then earning bonus point tries or accruing enough tries to get the try bonus point, I should say. And Heriots Rugby against Stirling Wolves. Well, that gets underway at Goldenacre in around about half an hour from now. There is the man of the match. All credit to Josh King, player of the match, receiving his medal from his skipper. Craig Keddy is a player that's a bit battle weary there, and I think ready for a quieter Saturday night.
A well-deserved light refreshment or two, but yep, a good afternoon's work from Boroughmuir Bears, but plenty of heart and shown from Southern Knights, and they can, as you say, go down the road with a buoyed by the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, 68 points then shared between the sides. Boroughmuir Bears winning by 40 points to 28. Many thanks for joining us for this live stream of the match played at Meggetland this afternoon, the Boroughmuir Bears against Southern Knights. And of course we're back in half an hour's time. Colin will be back, joined by Bruce Miller for the final match of the weekend. Round 4 of the FOSROC Super 6 competition comes to a close with that game between Heriots and Stirling Wolves.